Okay, we're going to start this meeting at 7 o'clock. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Okay. Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10-4-10, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by such advertising such notice in the Home News Tribune, the Asbury Park Press, the Board Office, the schools, and on Cablevision, Channel 118. At Verizon files 24 and by filing such notice with the Township Clerk. This meeting was scheduled for Tuesday, October 29th. The board will take formal action in payment of bills and other agenda items. Mr. Wydell?
The Old Bridge Township Board of Education acknowledges that the law of this state establishes that members of the public, including members of the board, have the right to record public board meetings using audio or video recording devices, provided that the act of recording does not interfere with the business of this public board meeting. Therefore, the board makes it known that any such recording is to be considered the private recording of the individual and in no manner represents the official record of this board. The board, therefore, takes no responsibility for such private recording and completely disavows any future use.
Thank you, Mr. Wydell. Roll call, please.
D'Antuno.
Here.
Giordano.
Here.
Jodry.
Here.
Francisco.
Here.
Lent. Marquetta. Mazzone.
Here.
Slade.
Here.
Solokowski.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Would everybody please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would everybody please remain standing? In memory, move the Board of Education acknowledge the death of Susan Armenti, Sandburg Bus Aide, and Joyce Kenny, retired teacher at Carl Sandburg Middle School. Thank you. Code of Ethics? Code of Ethics?
The board member will uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes shall be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures.
Thank you. District goals? Board goals? Approval of minutes?
Giordano, make the motion.
Can I get a second, please?
Ms. Almost second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
D'Antuno.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Lent. Marquetta is absent. Mazzone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Solokowski.
Yes.
Resolution 1 for approval of minutes passes.
Thank you. A report of student representative. He's not here tonight. He is hosting the Student Senate Halloween movie at Lombardi Field. So we have a little report from our board secretary.
Good evening, all. This is from Joseph Lazenfama, our student representative to the board. For tonight's meeting, dear Mr. Cittadino and Board of Education members, I want to let you know that I will be unable to attend tonight's Board of Education meeting. I'm hosting the Student Senate Halloween movie night at Lombardi Field. I am including my notes on the activities of this past month. The last month has been very busy at the high school. We are continuing to encourage all of our students to get involved in the various clubs and activities that we have to offer. Homecoming and the senior dinner cruise were a lot of fun for all who attended. Our sports teams are wrapping up their regular season and beginning their playoffs. Football's annual Pink Out was amazing, and they have a playoff game this Friday night. Our girls soccer and girls volleyball teams both played in the GMC finals this afternoon. Our girls tennis team were GMC White Division champions for the first time in school history. Good luck to all our teams in their state playoff runs. Our marching band has been phenomenal all fall, and they will be competing at nationals this weekend at MetLife Stadium. Freshmen through juniors took the PSATs this past Friday, while seniors enjoyed fun activities run by our class advisors and the phys ed department. The Night Bucks program has been a great success so far, and many students are encouraged to do the right thing. The Junior ROTC, or JROTC, is currently running a food drive for local families in need leading up to the Thanksgiving holiday. I'm looking forward to giving the November report in person. It's been a great month to be a knight. Sincerely, Joseph Lazenfama.
Thank you. Very well put. Okay, what?
We're going to
Okay, recognition. Retirees.
We would like to thank and congratulate Darlene Simon and Diane Lafante on your retirement, a total of 41 years altogether. So thank you for your dedication to the students of Old Bridge.
Thank you. Okay, we have one more recognition over here. Ms. Mazzone?
We as a district pride ourselves as a national district of character. Amongst the numerous factors that make us a national district of character are the people. Throughout the district, there are numerous people who help shape this community by giving back to it. I can't think of a better person to highlight in this regard other than Ms. Clarissa Marabel for her More Love Foundation. Besides being a wife, mother, and school secretary, Mrs. Marabel finds time to give back in a huge way. Back in 2017, Mrs. Marabel, along with her husband and children, started the More Love Foundation to try and help families in need in our own town. In 2018, she kicked it off with her first event called Blessing Bags, in which she fundraised and collected personal hygiene products for individuals and families facing hardships or homelessness. Over the years, she had partnered with Walmart and other local restaurants to collect clothing and food to distribute throughout the community. In 2019, she partnered with Old Bridge principals, guidance counselors, and school nurses to sponsor families from each school and help provide them with a memorable holiday season. She gathers items that the family may need, organizes them in lists, and uses her Facebook page to help gather people to sponsor these families. She relies on school staff and friends to help coordinate drop-offs and pickups, wrapping the gifts and delivering these gifts to the families directly, always making sure these families remain anonymous. Staff from all different schools in our community come together in their own time to help put this all together, demonstrating great character. She has grown this event from 8 schools to 14 out of our 16 schools last year, and never once does she ask or want for a thank you. In a world of such uncertainty, it is a breath of fresh air to know we have people like the Marvell family who makes it their mission to make every child has a memorable holiday season. On behalf of the Board of Education, we would like to donate this $100 gift card to the More Love Foundation in hopes that it brings just one family a smile. Mrs. Marabel and family, thank you all for what you do, and not only for the families of Grissom, but to the families throughout Old Bridge. It is an honor to be able to recognize you and your family for your selfless acts of kindness year after year. Can you guys come up?
Bring the whole family in. Go ahead. Remember, family stays together, okay? Thank you, Ms. Mazzone. Great job. Okay, can I get a motion to move recognition, please?
Ms. Zoma, motion.
Can I get a second?
Francisco will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Slade,
Yes.
D'Antuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent is absent, Marqueta is absent, Mazzone,
Yes.
Solakowski.
Yes.
Resolution 1 and 2 for recognition passes.
Thank you, Mr. Waddell. Superintendent's report, do we have one?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Tonight we have a very special start to this. I was contacted by one of our staff members, Mr. Matthew Gregrin, and he can start that with Mr. Gajewski. They're going to show us a little video presentation that has become a tradition. Mr. Gregrin lost a dear member of his family to breast cancer many years ago, and he started a tradition within our schools that takes place at the schools that he works at as a physical education teacher. I know this year's, the video I think he's going to show us is his annual event at Cooper School. I think there's another one coming up at Shiraz School. And just a glimpse into what they're doing and how they're helping raise awareness towards breast cancer awareness and helping families locally through their charitable work. So thank you, Mr. Gregrin.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Matthew Gregrin. I've been teaching in the school district for 24 years, and I'm a second generation Mr. Gregrin, as my dad Dale taught in the district for 37 years as well. I'm up here today to present some of the activities that went on during the month of October, which is known as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. 15 years ago, my 32-year-old sister was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. At the time, I was teaching at Carpenter School, and I went up to Mr. Phillips at the time and asked him, what can we do? Can we do something to help raise awareness for breast cancer? So we decided to do a walk, and it was a huge success. I did that for another 2 years at Carpenter, and then I was moved to Madison Park, where I did it for another 2 years. Then 11 years ago, I moved over to Cooper Elementary School, and at the same time, Principal Dr. Gramada had just started working there as the principal. I brought up the idea of having a pink day, and she said it sounded great. But her exact words to me were, let's make it bigger. So we sat down, we brainstormed, and we decided to, being that she had just come from the high school, to invite the students from the cosmetology class to come over to the high school, come over to Cooper, and help with the kids. And from that moment on, Pink Day had become an all-day event. It's an event that these kids truly look forward to every single year. It's a fun day, but it's also an educational day and a meaningful day. They may not be learning math, science, or ELA. However, they are learning about caring, what it means to be hopeful, what it means to have courage, and most importantly, what it means to be a giving person, a person who looks forward to helping others. It's the little things in life that we remember the most. Whether it's one thing, one day, one instance that these kids remember, they always come back to me at some point and say, do you remember Pink Day? Our Pink Day starts out in the morning with the 5th graders going around the school where they have created an essay on the topics of strength, love, hope, and courage. They go around and read this to the younger students. Once the essays are written, they head outside where the Cosmo kids are waiting to decorate them, paint their nails, braid their hair, give them face paint, color their hair, and give them tattoos. Once that part is over, we enter into our walkathon, where we invite the parents to come and join with their kids and take about a 45-minute walk around the grounds of the school. Then we break for lunch, and once we break for lunch, the kids during recess come into our photo booth where they can choose 3 or 4 different friends and take buddy pictures holding up different types of props. Once lunch is over, we break outside again, where we sit on the floor of the blacktop and we spell out a word. Every year we choose a different word. We've done words like cure, hope, love, strength. This year we did rise. And at the end of the day, we have a pink chalk dance-a-thon outside to celebrate the kids and have a good time for all their hard work that they did. So I'd like to play this short video that we did from our day at Cooper.
Could you turn the monitor a little bit so some of these board members could see it? It'll go on the TV. Oh, it's going to be on the TV also?
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fire. But I see it in you, so we can walk it out. Woo! move mountains. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise like the day. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, I like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. You, the silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains. And I'll rise like the day. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. And we will rise, we'll rise, we'll rise.
As well as being an educational and meaningful day, our Pink Day is also a fundraiser. The funds that we raise go to a local organization called the Mama Mare Foundation. The Mama Mare Foundation helps local families who are dealing with breast cancer, whether it be helping them with finances or our greatest gift that we give away every year, an all-expense-paid dream vacation. I'd like to now call up several members that were a part of this year's Pink Day. First, I'd like to call up, let's get this in order. Earlier in the school year, I reached out to Mr. Michael Caiazzo and Ms. Donna Pizzulli over at Walter M. Shiraz School. And I asked them if they wanted to get on board as well. And in a short amount of time, they were able to put together a great walkathon, and they raised $4,000 towards the Mama Mare Foundation. So I'd like to call up Mr. Michael Caiazzo and Ms. Donna Pizzulli. Here is a certificate of appreciation for your guys and the staff, as well as a $100 gift card for you to buy something for the staff, a breakfast, or what have you guys. So thank you very much. Appreciate all the work that you guys did.
And why don't you have a picture taken with
All
them?
right.
Come on.
Next, I'd like to call up the two girls that were at our school that day that shot the videos and the pictures. We had a live video that I had sent to some of the board members Unfortunately, with media constraints, there were kids on the video that we could not show, so she instead spent the last 48 hours putting together this still picture video that we saw. I will tell you that when we watched the video, I showed it to every staff member, at least half of them had tears in their eyes, because these two girls did an amazing job. Kayla Hennessy and Sasha Radaya. Is she here? Oh, okay. All right, you can hold it for her. And for you guys both, I'd like to give you, for your hard work, a $50 gift card. And thank you very much. I appreciate it. Want to take a picture?
Don't forget the picture. Thank you.
And next, I'd like to call up from Leroy Gordon Cooper School, Dr. Gramada, to come receive the certificate. Our school at Leroy Gordon Cooper School, we raised $6,974. So here's a $100 gift card for the school as well. Yes.
I just want to take a quick moment, just real quick. This gentleman goes above and beyond, and I'm going to well up because it's all in Jill's honor. I just want to thank the board, Mr. Cittadino, Dr. Holker. Mr. Gajewski, I know you're back there somewhere because you always come through for us. I would be remiss if I didn't thank Mr. Dunn for being the original, what do you call the boom on the fire truck, the ladder truck. See, I don't even know the term, but he was the original. He'd come and do it with the advent of drones, you know. But Ms. Lassess, Ms. Palahanki, Dr. Sasso, thank you for always approving it. This could not be done without his love, our students, our community, and of course the support of the board and the district. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And finally, I'd like to call up the awesome, and I mean awesome from the bottom of my heart because they've been tremendous. Ms. Palahanki, I know tonight is Robin's birthday, so she cannot be here, but both Trish and Robin, every year, they come to our school. They go above and beyond decorating these kids. The kids love it. This year they brought 56 juniors and seniors. And it's so exciting when you guys walk in that building because I know it's going to be a great day. So can the Cosmo kids and Trish, can you please come up? I'd like to present you with an award as well.
Thank you. Very well done.
And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Very well put.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gregor, that was very well put together and obviously has a great impact on the families impacted by breast cancer. So thank you very much, and thank you for everyone who participated. The second part is progress towards goals, and this is where we'll have our annual testing report. We do this because it's important for the public to know how our students are progressing, but it's also required by the Department of Education to do a testing report in the month of October. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Board of Education, Mr. Cittadino, for the opportunity to present our annual testing report. So first off, I'd like to thank the Old Bridge Township Board of Education for your continued support in the school-wide PSAT administration at Old Bridge High School. Last week, over 2,000 students participated in the second annual digital PSAT. Special thank you to Dr. Sasso and the entire Old Bridge High School community. 91 rooms of calm confidence and the most successful admin yet. Great job, everyone who was involved. The New Jersey Student Learning Assessment was administered to students at grades 3 through 9 in the spring of 2024. Tested areas include grades 3 through 9 ELA, 3 through 8 math, and by course for the grade 9 in Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry. All NJSLA data will be compared by grade level to the state of New Jersey. In the College Board data, we'll be including a 5-year summary of SAT and Advanced Placement Achievement. Grade 3. Historically, we have significantly outperformed the state in grades 3 through 5. You can see this clearly demonstrated here in grade 3. Similar trend in grade 4. Also similar in grade 5. As we transition to the middle school, you will notice a similar yet new trend in the area of mathematics, where traditionally we would kind of lose our advantage over the state of New Jersey as we went from 6 to 7 to 8, where in grade 8 in Algebra 1, the state would outperform us in the area of mathematics. So you can see here, we outperformed the state in ELA grade 6 and also math in grade 6. But now as we transition to grade 7, where typically this margin would narrow in the area of mathematics, you can see that we are actually outperforming the state by a more significant margin as we continue through the grade levels for the first time that we've seen this data. In grade 8, you will notice that in grade 8 and also in grade 9, we were outperformed by the state of New Jersey in the areas of ELA. You'll see the same trend in math, where we're significantly outperforming the state of New Jersey in grade 8 mathematics. You will see that in grade 8, there was a narrow margin, which we were outperformed by the state of New Jersey. As we transition to 9, the margin that state outperforms us is slightly more significant at grade 9. And again, we had not outperformed the state of New Jersey in Algebra 1 any time before COVID. Our most highly achieving grade 9 students take Algebra 2 and Geometry. You can see they're doing a fantastic job at the grade 9 center. Any questions on NJSLA data? So the College Board historical data, I will provide a 5-year analysis of all the SAT scores, and also a 5-year analysis of all of advanced placement data, including percentage of students achieving score of 3+, total AP students, and total AP exams. SAT EWR, which is English, Writing, and Reading, formerly known as verbal, to those who took it forever ago as I did. I will address the anomaly of 2021 in 2 slides. You will see a slight improvement from 23 to 24, which is great news as we continue to grow post-COVID. SAT Math, I will address the anomaly of SAT Math in 2022 in the next slide. And again, you'll see a slight improvement from 2023 to 2024 in the area of SAT Mathematics. So in 21 and 22, the 2 years post-COVID, almost all colleges and universities were SAT optional. Only our most competitive students would take the SAT, which results in these inflated scores in 21 and also in 22. Please note the significant improvement, 6 points is great news. We don't want drastic numbers, drastic changes in any of our SAT data. So we did improve by 6 points from 2023 into 2024, the cohort class. AP percentage of students who score 3+. This is defined as the threshold the College Board uses to determine students achieving at the collegiate level. This was our first time over 80%. Great job, AP teachers. Great job, AP students. And also great job, Ms. Fazio, who is the AP coordinator. The first time that we had 80% of our advanced placement students achieving at the collegiate level, which is great news. Total AP students, AP total students and total number of exams taken. We have a blossoming dual enrollment program and early college program at Old Bridge High School. Some of these students no longer need to take AP exams to achieve college credit or college placement. So they wouldn't need to take the AP exam. We expect that these numbers will slightly decrease throughout the years as those dual enrollment programs and also the early college program continue to blossom. So we see a slight reduction from 23 to 24 in the total number of AP students who took AP exams. And you also see a similar slight drop in the total number of AP exams that were administered from 23 to 24. Again, this trend will likely continue as those other college programs continue to blossom at Old Bridge High School. This concludes the annual testing report. Thank you, Old Bridge Township Board of Education. Any questions? It's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Adenolfi, who will be presenting on the dynamic learning maps. Thank you.
Thank you, very well done.
Gonna have to lower this a little bit. Thank you, Mr. Caulfield. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alexis Adenolfi. I am a supervisor of elementary special education, preschool, and literacy K through 5. Tonight, I have the honor and privilege of presenting to you the Dynamic Learning Maps, or the DLM, test results for the 23-24 school year. I'm excited to present these results to you because I believe they're a true testament to our incredible teachers and their outstanding work, to our students and their dedication to school, but also to the administration and the Board of Education for really supporting us and allowing us to assess our practices and implement programs that really meet the unique learning needs of our students. It takes a team, it takes a village, and I thank everyone for your support. So what is the Dynamic Learning Maps? The DLM is an alternative assessment to the NJSLA. Like the NJSLA, it's administered to students in grades 3 through 8 and grade 11 in language arts and mathematics. Students in grades 5, 8, and 11 are also administered the science assessment. New Jersey administers the year-end model for the DLM. It's based off of a computer-based assessment based off the NJSLS, which is the New Jersey Student Learning Standards, as well as the DLM Essential Elements. So how do we really determine whether a student is eligible to take the DLM versus the NJSLA? So really, it's a collaborative team decision. It's made with the IEP team. The state does provide us with specific criteria that we do have to consider when making the determination on whether a student participates in the DLM versus the NJSLA. So just to give you an understanding of what that specific criteria is, the student has to have a disability that significantly impacts the intellectual functioning and adaptive behavior. The student has to be primarily taught using the DLM essential elements. The student requires extensive, repeated, individualized instruction and support that is not of temporary or transient nature. The student uses substantially adapted materials, individualized methods of accessing information. And lastly, the student's significant intellectual disability will impact post-school outcomes, for example, the need for supported housing and employment. When we look at that criteria for the 23-24 school year, Old Bridge had 48 students that were eligible to participate in the DLM. 25 of those students were at the elementary level, grades 3 through 5. 23 students were at the middle school level, grades 6 through 8. And we did not have any students eligible at the high school level in grade 11. This slide right here represents the number of students that were assessed by each grade in comparison to the 22-23 school year. You'll notice that we are remaining consistent in the number of students that are assessed utilizing the DLM from one grade to the next. For instance, if you look at grade 7 in 22-23, we had 14 students assessed. Those students transitioned to 8th grade, and we again had 14 students assessed. I do want to point out the fact that we are adding specialized programs to our district. So with the increase in specialized programs, we will likely see an increase in the number of students that will be assessed utilizing the DLM in future years. 2 years ago, we had 51 students assessed. Like I said, we had 48 students assessed last year. You'll notice when I go over scores, I'm making a comparison of Old Bridge from 2 years ago to last year because the state has not been able to provide us with a score report for how the state performed on the DLM. So we are making a comparison of how Old Bridge performed at each grade level for the DLM assessment in ELA and mathematics. So when we look at the DLM score report, Just to understand the different levels, the DLM categorizes student progress in relation to the essential elements into 4 key levels. Level 1 is emerging, level 2 is approaching the target, level 3 is at target, and level 4 is advanced. Students at the emerging level really show that initial understanding. This indicates they're just beginning to grasp the concepts. Students at the approaching level are gaining a better understanding and are beginning to apply their knowledge more effectively to the essential elements. And then students at their target level have a deep understanding and can apply their skills effectively and have essentially met the expectations for that essential element. Of course, students at the advanced level have really advanced their understanding and have the ability to apply the knowledge to the essential element. So what does that essentially mean? I'm waiting for it to change up there. Okay, so when we look at 23 and 24, this bar graph really tells it all. This slide shows the percentage of students who are at target or advanced in comparison to the 22-23 school year. The green bar represents the 22-23 school year, and the blue bar represents the 23-24 school year. I'm a visual person, so just by glancing at this, you can tell why I'm very happy to share these results with you. As you can see, the percentage of students who have met the target or advanced on the DLM has increased significantly in comparison to 2 years ago in almost every grade level and every subject area. Specifically, our students in 5th grade ELA, math, and science have shown significant improvement, 6th grade ELA and math, and then 8th grade ELA, math, and science. This slide represents the number of students in each grade level that fell within the emerging, approaching, or at target level for ELA, starting with 3rd grade and then progressing through the columns to the 8th grade. As you can see, while we have made significant growth in the number of students that really have met the target or advanced in comparison to other years, we still have a large group of students who are falling in with that emerging level, which means they're really just having that initial understanding of the concepts and the essential elements. When we highlight and dive more into the data, we can really target where our focus needs to be, and that is in the 3rd and 4th grade language arts. So when we're moving forward and I give my recommendations to the board and to the community, you'll see why I'm really targeting those areas and what the plan is moving forward. Math. This slide represents the number of students in each grade level that fell within the emerging, approaching, and target level for mathematics, starting with grade 3 and then progressing through the columns to 8th grade. As you can see, like I said before with ELA, it's the same pattern. We do have an increase in number of students who are performing at target or advanced on the math DLM, yet majority of our students are still falling within the emerging level. So again, overall, when we look at our math scores, we do have to show improvement with targeted interventions. So what are the next steps when it comes to DLM and our specialized programs? Overall, we're doing a great job, and I'm really proud of our students and our staff, but there are things that we can do to improve our scores. While this is not mandatory, I do think that participating in what's called the DLM Instructionally Embedded Assessment Model will help both our students and our staff. This is an assessment that the DLM utilizes to benchmark and progress monitor our students so that we can really get an understanding of how they're progressing on the essential elements and then provide us what's called linkage levels to target our instruction in the classroom. We will also utilize our child study teams more effectively to provide the consultative roles to progress monitor our students in the specialized classes, conduct a needs assessment of programs that really utilize the DLM essential elements, continue to research and propose supplementary intervention programs for both ELA and math. Just to give you an understanding, we have already implemented the Language for Learning program in some of our specialized classrooms. This started in September, and our staff were trained at our September in-service. We are also implementing News to You, unique learning system, in our elementary and secondary specialized classes, and then we're looking to implement a multisensory reading program. We would like to provide professional development to case managers and teachers on the essential elements so that we can apply them more effectively to the IEP goals and objectives and the classroom instruction. Overall, like I stated before, this is my first time being really able to dive into the DLM data, and I'm really excited about these results. I saw the results and I immediately went to Dr. Tui because it really shows our progress over the years and where we are in regards to special services and being able to provide appropriate programs to our students. Like I said before, it takes a village, and I thank everyone for your support, and I look forward to the progress for the remainder of the year. Does anyone have any questions at all?
I do. Do we think the state will start collecting the data and sharing it, or?
So the last report so I did send an email to the state, and the last report that I received was from 2022. And that's the one that's posted on the state website as well. So I'm hoping, I would have even taken data from 2023, but the last one I can have access to is 2022 for DLM. But if I do receive a response, I'll let everyone know.
Thank you, and Jeff, very much. It was a very in-depth report.
Thank you.
Very well done, thank you. Keep up the good work. Any more progress toward goals? No?
That concludes my report, sir.
Thank you. Any correspondence?
Yes, three pieces of correspondence tonight. First is an email from Carolyn Mack. Dear Mr. Solokowski and members of the board, I request that my letter be read as correspondence at the next BOE meeting. Having attended last night's board meeting, but being unable to stay through the duration, we watched the remainder of the meeting online. I would like to comment on some of what I heard. First, I want to commend the integrity of Christina Mazzone and Elena Francisco. I appreciate and applaud their commitment to the students of the district by refusing to vote on the new curriculum before fully vetting and studying it. Considering that this is for grades K to 12, it was no doubt voluminous and would require, for anyone serious about their job as a BOE member, thoughtful consideration and precious time. I appreciate the sentiment spoken by Ms. Mazzone. I did not want to vote on something I did not read or understand. As I understood, there were new curriculum requirements as well. Certainly, having the good sense to delay a vote in order that new curriculum could get the consideration it deserves would be a very important character quality for a board member. Kudos for that. I also appreciate that Ms. Francisco took the time to meet with Dr. Tui and two supervisors to get questions answered prior to casting her vote. This is the kind of thing that has the potential to elevate a school district. It's the willingness to do the harder thing because it's the right thing. As many districts are still struggling to regain the performance levels we saw pre-COVID, curriculums must be scrutinized and weighed, and this is what at least two of our board members were doing when they asked for more time. Last of all, I want to respond to the accusation by many in the audience Tuesday night who criticized the delay for the vote as political on two fronts. They didn't like that the vote for the new curriculum was delayed just 1 week, and they pushed for Superintendent David Citadino's contract to be immediately renewed 6 months ahead of schedule. This was clearly and repeatedly hammered by teachers, former students, and parents who then accused certain board members of playing politics for not caving to the pressure. A good superintendent like a new curriculum can and should be willing to stand the test of scrutiny. Thank you for not caving to the rhetoric meant to intimidate and pressure you into prematurely passing a new curriculum and renewing the superintendent's contract ahead of schedule. You did the right thing. Sincerely, Carolyn Mack, 23, Cloister Court, Old Bridge, New Jersey. Second correspondence comes from Alexander Radaya. Good evening, members of the Board of Education, parents, and residents of Old Bridge. Hope all is well. I would like to address the importance of extending Mr. David Citadino's position as superintendent. As a proud Old Bridge resident and current high school student, I've seen firsthand the positive impact he has had on our community and our schools. Mr. Citadino embodies the spirit of Old Bridge. His support for students and dedication to our schools have been evident in countless ways. He does his best to show up to school events that are important to us and make it a possibility to engage in the activities that help represent our Old Bridge pride, especially knowing how much we love Daisy and seeing our grins go from ear to ear with joy. Throughout the challenging times, especially during the pandemic, Mr. Citadino has been a source of hope and stability. His ability to find solutions and uplift spirits even during the most difficult times has made a significant difference in our lives. Why should the board consider extending Mr. Citadino's contract? Because he is a true role model. His commitment to our community and his passion for education shine through in all that he does. He cares deeply for students and families, always striving to help us achieve our goals. To the board members here tonight, I want you to reflect on the countless endorsements from educators across the district and consider the positive changes Mr. Citadino has brought to Old Bridge. Thank you for your time, and I wish everyone a wonderful Halloween to those who celebrate. Sincerely, Sasha Radaya. Third correspondence is from Kim Ventarola, Diane Michael, Colleen Colick, and Push Cower on behalf of SEPTA Old Bridge NJ. We kindly request that this email to be read tonight, October 29th, at the Board of Education meeting during correspondence by David Wydell. In the same fashion, emails have been read at all previous meetings regarding David Citadino's contract. The community should be aware that there will be no Play Unified clubs at all 11 schools and no unified programs or sports at this time. That means no school clubs during the day or after school, no unified basketball, track, bowling, cheer, dance, or esports, etc. Special Olympics offers a grant for these programs. It has been cut year after year, and now the cut is totaling 51%. And to be clear, these grants from Special Olympics are the ones subsidizing Old Bridge Township Public Schools. These grants are relieving majority of burden off the school district, not the other way around. Put up some funds. We need the community and the general public at large to know that the Old Bridge Township Public Schools refuses to put $1 in their planning or budget toward the special education students to participate in any extracurricular, athletic, sports, club, etc. in our district. Old Bridge Township Public Schools put $0 or consideration into any unified program now, in the past, or ever. We are aware that multiple meetings took place with the Director of Athletics, Principals, David Wydell, Superintendent and Assistant Staff, and OBEA. 1,500 plus students are being denied access to extracurricular activities due to their disabilities. 1,500 students are being segregated and discriminated against. We have a DEI committee that never retrieves any data or conclusion about inclusion or the absolute lack thereof in Old Bridge Township Public Schools. 5 multi-disabled girls at GNC were blatantly told no to participate on Friday night lights cheer or dance this year. Those girls sat in the bleachers and watched their brothers and friends play football, perform in band, cheer, and dance, among other things. How is this okay? These parents suggested just a small role to be taken on the sideline. We were not included. We were told no. These families quickly got physicals done and were excited to finally be in high school to participate. It is November. We can list the amazing things in this district that have already taken place: band, soccer, football, dance, cheer, esports, amazing trips, all that did not include our children. We demand that you get back to the table, find your voice, and figure out how to make this work. It is simply deplorable that our most vulnerable students have nothing. As it pertains to inclusion, socialization, character, you tell me where you see or hear our special education students. Where are they? To our community, where are they? On the agenda tonight, we see you hired more coaches for wrestling and cheer. That's fantastic. You even hired David Wydell, an assistant BA, for $130,000. Congratulations. Why is it that we can hire an assistant BA now for $130,000, 3 coaches at higher steps, but we can't find the funds to subsidize a grant for our disabled students? Old Bridge Proud, One Love, Ohana, Difference Makers, District of Character? I guess only if you aren't a classified student. Do better, administration. What has not been mentioned by any administrator or Board of Ed members is the entire classroom SEPTA and our community gutted and built, totaling close to $13,000. How do we choose recognition in this district? Please see the following attachment that states how the Special Olympic grant needs local policies. Special Olympic responds to proposed funding cuts for special education programs in the United States. Thank you, Kim Ventarola, Diane Michael, Colleen Colick, Push Cower. That concludes correspondence.
Thank you very much. Any special committee reports? I think we have quite a few.
I have quite a few.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, buckle up. Here we go. On October 9th, we had a joint special services curriculum committee meeting. I don't know if anybody's planning to report on the curriculum meeting. Okay, good, because I'll skip that part. We had, I'll just report out on the special services part. The presentation is on the Old Bridge Public Schools website. You can access it, but just to summarize it, we went over an overview of special education programming and district changes for the 24-25 school year. We talked about goals for the upcoming year, and it was entitled Focusing on the Positives. We talked about information about the number of students requiring support of special education services broken down by pre-K, elementary school, middle school, and high school, and also the total number of staff supporting our students. And we reviewed important dates and the calendar. We talked about the second step social skills program, and also information on becoming a member of the special education PTA, and all that they do for students was available as well. Then questions regarding the LLD curriculum were taken. That brings me to October 10th. We had a meeting for transportation, buildings, and grounds. I think Jen is going to talk about the transportation part, but I was going to talk about the buildings and grounds. So we had Mr. Ernest Jacomi, the Director of Plant Services. He talked about what they've done, and I especially wanted to talk about this and relay the information that he provided, because that's the kind of work that's done that really nobody really ever sees. It's kind of behind the scenes, that and transportation, but if those positions and those jobs didn't exist, keeping our schools safe, keeping our kids safe, we wouldn't be able to have any of the programs or anything that make Old Bridge a really great school district. So over the summer, between July 1st and October 10th, which is the night of the meeting, the maintenance fieldwork orders completed were totaled 1,175 work orders. In the GNC, it's funny that you mentioned it in the letter, in the GNC, the renovation project of the Home Economics Room 306, that was the project that SEPTA implemented. They had to actually renovate everything. They removed old kitchen cabinets, they removed sinks, and they installed new kitchen cabinets, new sinks, a washer and a dryer. They painted the entire room. They also renovated a bathroom and made it accessible. He said that the work included was not limited to removing or redesigning of toilet partitions, installing railings and shower curtains. They installed a new dust collector in the wood shop. At the high school, they pruned trees in the central courtyard. At Sandburg, they made extensive locker repairs. In all of the schools, they installed exterior door swipe identification for the Old Bridge Police Department. They installed exterior enhancement projects, including painting doors and window panels. They completed paving improvement projects, HVAC preventative maintenance, and that included filter replacement, belt replacement, and greasing of motors and pumps. Boiler maintenance, including boiler cleaning and ignition tune-ups, and interior painting of various rooms. He made a special point to mention all the staff that was involved, and again, those are the people that we really, they're not teachers or paraprofessionals that we see their names often, that nobody really knows, but without them, nothing could really run. Kevin Canton, custodial supervisor, Tim and Glenn Kraft for carpentry, John Gigna, electrical, and this name, I'm sorry, I know I'm going to mess it up, but Piotr Wojwoda and Juanito Completo for plumbing, Kevin Novak, Furman Rojas, Jeanette Jensen, Al Hermans, and Charlie Ordino, painting, Pat Tanzi, William Keinhofer for HVAC. He also shared that it should be noted during the summer months beginning on 7/1, the department was in the middle of a major transition involving multiple contractors and trades that had the potential to significantly impact the overall delay of operations and summer cleaning. They transitioned from Aramark to Pritchard for custodial services, and it took a while to get everybody up to speed. Other significant transitions involved district-wide landscaping, boiler maintenance, drain cleaning, underground utilities, drain cleaning and roof maintenance, and many long hours were spent bringing these new contractors up to speed as well. He mentioned in our last meeting that none of these accomplishments would have been possible without the dedicated and talented staff that they're fortunate to have in the Plant Services Department. And Mr. Jacomi also mentioned the names of clerical staff who he said are second to none in ensuring that all administrative needs and tasks of the department are taken care of. He said, as the old saying goes, the work is never done until the paperwork is done, and he couldn't be more blessed to work with two dedicated professionals, Diane Lafante and Dina Asensio. And I'm not done yet. Yesterday, we had a CPAC Zoom meeting. The topic was parent-teacher conferences and how to prepare for them, what questions to ask, and how to make the most of short of the short time families have with their children's teachers. Ms. Babbitt shared some great resources for parent-teacher conferences and also suggested that families go to two websites, understood.org and bealearninghero.org, for many other helpful resources. Some of the resources that she shared were informational, they were online informational resources. The difference between IEP meetings and parent-teacher conferences. She shared conversation starters to use with your child's teachers. The positive student profile, and that's a tool to be completed by the family to provide information about the strengths, challenges, and successes of a child. Parent-teacher conference worksheet. It's something that you would fill out before the conference, mark what you feel your child is doing well, what you think your child is having trouble with, and then during the conference, go through the worksheet with the child's teacher, talk about each topic, and take notes on what you discuss. And then the last thing she shared was the parent-teacher planning tool, a tool to get ready for parent-teacher conferences. It can also be used as a follow-up with teachers, and afterwards make sure you have the information you need about your child's progress. All of those resources are on the CPAG website, so and CPAG Facebook page, so you can download them and use them before parent-teacher conferences. And that's all I have for committee meetings.
Thank you.
Should we just go down there? Okay. So the transportation part of the evening, we want to thank Debbie, Linda, Mary, and I believe Shannon was the other office team member in there. They've done a great job with the transportation. This was one of the smoothest opening days that the district has had in a while, so they commended their team of drivers. They shared with us that when the contract drivers are short a driver, they're all, grabbing other routes, including these 4 office ladies aren't necessarily answering the phones. They're out driving our buses too. They also spoke very highly of their team when they lost a team member, Susan, that we announced earlier. Everyone got noticed that morning, and everyone still showed up and picked up all the kids and stuff like that. So we do want to give kudos and thank you to the district bus team for being true professionals in your job. Tomorrow we will have the CARE and the DEI meetings. The CARE committee is at 6:30. We're going to pick a new project for the year. In the past, we visited the district website and the district calendar. And the DEI, we're going to go over the results of the school climate survey that was on the parent portal when everyone went to go find out who their teacher is in September. The technology committee will be before our next board meeting, so that will be November 18th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. D'Antuono and Ms. Jodry. Very well put.
We have one more.
Did we have more? Okay.
We do a lot of work.
What a board we have here, huh?
So real quick, before I give the report for the curriculum meeting, I encourage all of you to come to these meetings. This is where the bulk of our work is done. It's kind of the meat and potatoes of everything we do. So come to these committee meetings if you can, and they're just a wealth of information. So as Ms. Jodry had mentioned, we had a joint curriculum and special services committee meeting on Wednesday, October 9th. So I'm just going to tell you what we did for the curriculum part. We actually started the night at 6:30. We had various supervisors who came and had samples of their subject curriculum so that attendees could review before the meeting had started. Present at the meeting were Dr. Christine Doherty, Supervisor of Secondary Special Education, Karen Hicks, Supervisor of CT and Nursing, Rocco Celentano, Supervisor of Secondary ELA and Social Studies, Stacy Winters, Supervisor of Mathematics, Jeffrey Caulfield, Supervisor of Science and Testing, Dr. Caitlin Calandria, Director of Grants, Intervention, and Student Services. Dr. Calandria and Mr. Caulfield presented district data pre and post-COVID to evaluate where the children are in ELA and math. These presentations are currently on our homepage on the website and will eventually move to the instructional information section if they haven't already. So if you'd like to take a look at them, I encourage you to do so. And you also got to see the presentations here this evening. Dr. Tui then went over the curriculum writing process and timelines and some possible changes that we might be able to make so that there could be a more cohesive process between teachers and supervisors and Board of Education. Fallon Keeles and Samantha Fazio presented on the summer program. Ms. Fallon is a high school special education teacher, and Ms. Fazio is a school counselor at Sandburg. Then we switched over to the special services portion of the meeting, and Mrs. Jodry has already presented on that. So like I said, come out to our committee meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Matt, I need to get something
Go ahead.
out real quick.
I don't know how everyone in this room watching on TV is not fuming at the correspondence that was just read to us, sent by the team at SEPTA. We come here week after week worried about a contract that technically we have months to decide on, and yet you have these poor mothers who are fighting for their kids to just be involved. I don't know how anyone is not appalled right now. It is not okay to tell any child, regardless of a disability or not a disability, that they are not allowed to participate in an activity, especially one that has to do with their school. I can guarantee 90% of the people in this room right now are here to talk about Mr. Cittadino's contract, and this has nothing to do with you. I just think that Old Bridge needs to do better. I think it is absolutely disgusting how these parents are trying to fight for their kids, and yet everywhere they turn, it's a no from anyone. Sorry, had to get that off my chest.
Well, I wish I spoke sooner because maybe you wouldn't have said that. This was discussed during negotiations, and you sat on negotiations committee. And the negotiations committee, and I wanted Mr. Parton to reflect upon this, is that we decided you were, as one of it, wanted them to apply for the grant first. When we find out how much the grant was, then we would address the balance. However, as I understand, we just found out about the grant this week before we left for Atlantic City. That wasn't given to me yet until this email came in today. So we haven't even had a chance to respond to it. So the fact that I don't know everything in there to be truth of what the email says, it came in at, I think, 3 o'clock today. There's a lot of information there I don't even know, but that was part of the negotiation process. If the board had directed a different way in which this would be funded, it would have been funded in a different way. But that was the decision of the board, not the decision of the administration on how to fund this going forward.
The grant has nothing to do with any teacher telling or any coach telling a child they cannot participate
I
in a
agree with you,
sport.
but I don't know that to be a fact as of right now. The information came in at 3 o'clock. I haven't had a chance.
This is nothing
Okay.
new. These parents have been fighting for their children for years. This is nothing new. So no grant, no nothing. It's not okay for a child to be told no.
And I agree with you, and I just haven't had the information yet to look into that. And I don't find that our staff goes around telling students that they can't do something.
I think a hard part here too, I wasn't sure where we were going to discuss this, if we were going to do this, at the end, but I think this is the perfect time. It's really easy to put it on the board when we have to dig for information anyway. So that's the position that I have found myself in, especially we were just talking about curriculum. I feel like I have to sit here and I have to comb through bill lists, and yes, this is my job, and I know exactly what I signed up for, and I'm proud and happy to do it. But to totally put that on the board is unfair when we are constantly digging for information, constantly. So I will do my very best, and I spoke with a couple people today. I have been part of discussions of Play Unify and trying to get it off the ground, and some of the hindrances that we have been encountering, which shouldn't be happening. But this is beyond. And as a board member, I honestly even said that I didn't even know it was this bad, and I should know. And I'm glad now that I do know, so that we have to move forward. I mean, we can sit here and we can hash this out, but we need to move forward. We need to do better.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
I thought we were bringing it up later, so that's why I didn't address it before. I would just like more information, and I guess having a conversation to get, like you said, came through during the workday. Christina, are you doing the food service committee? Okay. So, yeah, I didn't want to let SEPTA conversation happen, so I was just going to ask for more information once you guys find out more. Just to finish out the food service, the committees, the other meeting that occurred was we had the food service committee meeting where we met with ARC to see what changes they've made since the end of last year and the beginning of this year. And so that was the other committee that had met. But as far as, are we continuing the SEPTA conversation now, or are we doing it later?
It's up to us. It's up to you.
Okay. So my question was, and I wasn't part of negotiations, so I didn't know that part, was it a staffing issue or was it a financial thing from?
my understanding is that the staff applies for the grant each year, and then we look at the grant and try to do the staffing with the grant that's applied. And as the district has said many times, is that the tough part with grants is that they go away. So what the consensus of the board in negotiations was, we didn't want to just throw the grant money away and say, well, we're going to fund it completely without going for the grant first.
Okay.
Go for the grant first, see where the funding lies, and then once we look at the gaps there, the board would look at funding where it would need to be done in the balance. Again, this information just came out that I know of. I wasn't presented with any amount, even the grant yet, to my office that I know of. And I received this email around 3 o'clock today.
Okay, so
I
the
would
Play
like to,
Unified-
I apologize if this is the way it's being received, but I'd like to have had this conversation with the board and my administrative team, after reading that. Obviously, it's something that needs to be acknowledged, the letter, but,
Okay, so it's not that we, as a board or administration, said no to the program at all? We're
no,
just- Okay.
not at all.
Anyone else? What a board we have here, I'll tell you. Would
This is
ask
Matt.
so many questions, I love it.
Matt, I have just a committee reminder. We have a long overdue strategic planning committee coming up November 13th, 7 o'clock. Thank you, David, Mr. Wydell, for coming up with that. So that will be discussing district goals and part of the strategic planning that we had 2 years ago of long-range planning. So November 13th at 7 o'clock in the conference room. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Slade. Anyone else?
Just
I
to
tell you,
add,
I
there-
love this board. I'll
to-
tell you,
to
so
the-
many questions. This is great.
to the
In
board,
the last 20 years, we never had anything like this. Everything was just yes, yes, yes. This is great. Go ahead.
to the board, we do need to have a policy meeting. There was a report that was sent out probably along the summer months in trying to get the policy committee together. We have not done so yet, but we do have some follow-up on policy that we do have to try to get on. So please look at your calendars to try to get policy in. A couple items there to discuss.
Thank you. Anyone else before we move forward? Okay, hearing of residents on any agenda items. Any agenda items. And when you come up, please state your name, please, and sign the book. No book, just state your name. Thank you.
Andrew Lewis, OBEA. I just want to provide some
The
clarification.
book's not there? Sorry,
I don't
Andrew.
see it.
I put it up there. Physically, me. Don't worry.
Andrew Lewis, OBEA. I just want to provide some clarification on the discussion that was just had regarding Play Unified. So as was mentioned at negotiations, it was said that we will discuss this once we see what the funding was. We received that funding shortly after we settled that information. I had requested a meeting to discuss that, so I met with Mr. Wydell, Mr. Domino, as well as one of the teachers who handles that on Wednesday, October 16th. The following week was school boards. But Mr. Wydell had said after that meeting that he would follow up with his colleagues on the stage. So I don't know, when that happened, but I received correspondence today that the district would not provide further funding beyond what was already provided by the grant. So I don't know, who had what information when, but I received that correspondence today from administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Just agenda items.
Hi, Scott Mazzella, teacher and public relation coordinator. Since she was the top of the agenda, I just want to say a couple words about Joyce Kenny, who passed away this month. Joyce was my 7th grade social studies teacher, and I remember her passion, her spirit. She had a great sense of humor. She was a great teacher, and I wouldn't even have a job in Old Bridge if it wasn't for her, because my first or second day subbing in Old Bridge, I was a gym teacher, and I took an extra class at a language arts class, and it was right across the hall from Miss Kenny. And I said, I gotta go thank her for inspiring me amongst several teachers in my schooling to become a social studies teacher. So I went out there and I was so excited. I said, Miss Kenny, you're like one of my favorite teachers. You helped inspire me to be a social studies teacher, yada, yada, yada. And she saw Vice Principal Bob Erickson coming down the hallway, and she was like, can you tell him all that? So I did, but she wasn't saying that to brag about herself. She knew there was a long-term position in social studies available, and that if I said I was social studies certified, he would be interested. So I took that, and I got the job, and the rest is history. So thank you, Miss Kenny. I'll miss you. Thank you up there, and you know, say a little proud for her. She's a good person. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just really, Andrew, did you find that binder? I think I saw you with it. Yeah, we just get up there. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Policy, we have nothing. Curriculum, professional development, 1 through 3. Can I get a motion to move curriculum,
Francisco
professional
will
development,
move.
please?
Francisco will move.
Can I get a second?
Ms. Owen will second.
Any discussion? A roll call, please.
Marquetta is absent. Mazzone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Lent is absent. Solokowski.
Yes.
Resolution 1 through 3 for curriculum and professional development passes.
Thank you, Mr. Waddell. Finance, 1 through 13. Can I get a motion to move finance 1 through 13?
D'Antino will move.
Can I get a second, please?
Francisco will second.
Can I get any discussion? No discussion on finance? Okay.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
You would probably know this. On number 9, what is the MAST program?
That is a vocational school in Monmouth County Vocational. It's a school name. I think it's Marine Science and Technology. Marine Academy Science and Technology. So it's a school.
So we're sending students there because we can't offer these courses here,
Correct.
right? Okay.
No?
The magnet programs associated with either Monmouth County or Middlesex County are programs that we do offer here. However, students can apply to other county schools. It's a selective process where they take 1 or 2 students from Monmouth County schools. This particular student, I believe, resides in Mattawan. That's why they're able to attend a Monmouth County school. It's a magnet program. We offer the programs here.
Do we provide the transportation also?
Yes.
Yeah, but
Okay.
you're required for a
Right, right.
county program.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
Question. On number 10, move the Board of Education to authorize the submission of the United States Department of Agriculture National School Lunch Program fiscal year 2024 equipment assistance grant for funding intended to assist schools in purchasing equipment for important improvements to the food program. What schools will be getting improvements, and if this when the grant is done, if it's not fully paid for, how are we paying for the remainder of it?
So, no grant is no school is guaranteed to get anything. This is a competitive grant. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has allotted the state of New Jersey $350,000 statewide for districts to apply for their schools. So just a list that I had in relation to, I worked with Aramark on this along with our consulting company. We have McDermott School Grade 9 Center, we have the high school main campus, we have Jonas Salk Middle School, Carl Sandburg Middle School, Leroy Gordon Cooper School, James A. McDivitt Memorial School, Miller School, and Voorhees School have all had pieces of equipment identified that either need an upgrade or it's a safety hazard, safety concern from the employees. So again, we will be submitting the application for it, but if it's a competitive grant, so there's no guarantee to get anything. And the way this grant works, it's really one time a year. You have to pay for it up front, and you get full reimbursement for the purchase. So it's not like it's not a partial or anything like that. It's a full reimbursement, but it's a certain limit. I have to provide the quotes on all these items that are identified, and so that the USDA then essentially grades and scores your application to award. So it's not a guarantee anyone will get awarded, but it is a nice program. And in years past, there was way more funding that was allotted, and now it's down to $350,000 across every school, essentially, not even just district. Every school in the state can apply for this. So very competitive, and hopefully we can get something for someone.
So if the grant isn't approved, are we still replacing the equipment, or it'll depend on the results of it?
No, we only are moving forward if we are only moving forward with any piece of equipment if it gets accepted.
Any other questions?
Just
Go ahead.
if it's not approved tonight, it saves me work because it's due tomorrow. So I'm going back to the office to put the application in. But I'll leave that to the board.
I'm glad that you do your homework. Okay, roll call, please.
Lent is
Wydell, go
absent.
ahead.
Yep. Marquetta is absent. Mazzone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
D'Antuno.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Solakowski.
Yes,
Resolution 1 through 13 for finance passes. I got some homework to do tonight.
thank you. Do you still have to go to the office later? Okay.
Of course.
Okay, athletics, 1. Can I get a motion to move athletics, number 1?
Did Giordano make the motion?
Can I get a second, please?
Jody will second.
Any discussion, please?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just to tie in with the SEPTA conversation, Mr. Lewis had said that we said no to the Play Unified. Are we still verifying that information, or?
I can respond to that. So last year, because it was a grant fund, we did lose funds from original $35,000 to $25,000. At the time, which was November, Mrs. Jenks and Mrs. Shablowski, who were the coordinators for the program, provided us with revised stipends for each one of the schools. Subsequently, when the grant was lowered again, the suggestion was to lower the stipends because they're not currently in the contract for positions. However, at this juncture, because there is a concern, something obviously we can look into, but based on what happened last year, where the teachers revised the stipends, which is what was suggested in the email today, and again, Mr. Ciudino wasn't privy to that because he unfortunately was absent yesterday. That is what was suggested, Mr. Lewis.
Thanks.
And
Anyone else?
So is it still like a
Mr.
staffing?
Antonio, I promise you, I'm going to look into it. I was,
Okay, I'm sorry.
this is when that correspondence happened, we were not in last week. I have been out with a fever for the past 2 days. I made it here to get this meeting. I did not see any correspondence until this 3 o'clock event. Dr. Tui was not privy to our conversations in negotiations because he does not attend negotiations. So had I was able to get that information, he would have not responded to that because he shouldn't have responded to that because it's different information this year than in prior years based upon our conversation in negotiations. And all I'm saying is, when this happened, again, I'm upset about it. I would have liked that we've all talked about it and then addressed it with the clear information
Thank
going
you.
forward.
I have a question. Currently at both Sandburg and Salk, how many cheerleading coaches do we currently have? I don't know. Okay. I'm just curious because, I want to make the right decisions here and I want to know the answers to some questions. And so I'm just wondering, and this in no way is, a negative thought on having an assistant coach or any one particular person who would be the assistant.
I think I'm just going to clarify because I think
But I don't,
all assistants, you're a Sandburg coach, you're a Salk coach, you're an assistant. It's not an assistant to another coach. You're all assistants to the varsity coach at the high school.
Okay, so that's important
yes,
to
I wanted to,
understand.
yes, before you said more.
So this is the
not-
coach.
This is the coach, it's not.
The coach.
Right, and I believe there's
Okay.
just one at every school. There's
That
not an
matters. Thank
assistant.
you for
Yeah,
clarifying,
okay.
because I did not know that. I am also learning, everybody. I'm learning. Wow, that's harsh. Man.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? No? Roll call, please.
Okay, it was Giordano and Jodry, correct?
Yes.
All right. Francisco? Oh, Giordano and Jodry. Sorry, yeah. Francisco?
Yes.
Lent is absent. Marqueta is absent. Mazone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Resolution 1 for athletics passes.
Thank you, Mr. Wydell. Non-certified personnel office. Move the board approve, okay. 1 through 2.
Dantuno.
Giordano, second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jodry.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Lent is absent. Marqueta is absent. Mazone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Resolution 1 and 2 for non-certificated personnel office passes.
Thank you, Mr. Wydell. Why am I always at the end to vote? That's a good question.
That is what Robert's rules, I
Is it?
believe.
Oh, I didn't know that. Always at the end, huh?
Save the best for
realized
last.
that. Okay. Okay, number 1.
Giordano, make the motion.
Can I get a second, please?
Ms. Owen, second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Lent is absent. Marqueta is absent. Mazone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Resolution 1 for non-certificated personnel operational passes.
Okay, non-certified personnel, other, 1 through 8.
Giordano, make the motion.
Can I get a second, please?
Ms. Owen, second.
Any discussion on this? No? Roll call, please.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Lent and Marqueta are absent. Mazone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 8 for non-certificated personnel other passes.
Thank you. Certified personnel, we have, yeah, 1 through 17, and we have a
Administrative correction.
administrative correction, right? On number
Yes.
22, I believe.
Resolution number 4, line item B, administrative corrected the effective date. So the effective date was originally listed as, what's that? 11/13/24. It is now 1/2/25. So that's resolution 4, letter B for Jacqueline Smith.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to move
Ms. Owen,
certified
motion.
personnel 1
Dantuno,
through 17?
Ms. Owen, motion.
Can I get a
Ms.
second,
Owen
please?
and Dantuno.
Dantuno, second.
Any discussion? I'd like to separate number 8 for voting purposes.
Number 8.
And non. Yes.
Okay,
You're
voting, we're voting on 1 through 7 and 9 through, I'm sorry, yeah, through 17. Can I
1
get a
through
motion?
7 and 10 through 17. Sal just,
Separated. Can I get a motion to, what? Roll call, please.
Slade,
Yes.
Dantuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent and Marqueta are absent. Mazone
Yes.
and Solikowski.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 7 and 10 to 17 for certificated personnel passes.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to vote on number 8. I separated number 8 because I believe I told, I'm on the personnel committee. Anything above teaching, I mentioned it to Dr. Hoker that one or two people from the personnel meeting should be there for the interview, at least the final 2 candidates. All of a sudden, here's who we hired. They show the person. I'm totally against that, okay? So I'm voting no on number 8. Roll call, please.
Mr. Solikowski, the entire board had the opportunity to meet with the candidate during executive session at the prior board meeting.
Why isn't the personnel committee get involved in this? Anything above the rank of teaching? I mentioned that a long time ago. Thank you.
All right, so we have a roll call
Right,
for number 8.
yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Dantuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent and Marquette are absent. Mazzone,
Yes.
Solakowski was a no.
No.
Then resolution number 8 does pass for certificate personnel.
Non-certified personnel, transportation,
None.
we have
No,
nothing.
we still have number 9.
Okay,
Okay, roll call for number 9. Slade. You want
We discuss
discussion?
I just don't disagree. I disagree with the amount. If we have to pass it, I'll pass it, but I'm not, we're not making this 7-0. It's just like the security guards from last week. It's a very high amount for testing coordinator when we teach, when we pay our actual teachers 49 something. So I just disagree with the amount.
Okay. No further comment? Good. Slade,
Yes.
Dantuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
No.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent and Marquette are absent. Mazzone,
Yes.
Solakowski.
no,
Resolution 9 does pass for certificate personnel.
thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Solakowski, you have 4 new hires that are present.
Yes, okay, this is exciting. We do this, we just started this year. All the new hirees, I believe we have 4 or 5 teachers, are, go ahead, who's in charge of that? Marge.
Okay, we would like to welcome Lisa Flynn as the Assistant Business Administrator, Petria Funes as a psychologist, Jacqueline Smith, teacher, and Catherine Noble. I don't have her position here, but Catherine
Instrumental
Noble-
music.
Excuse me? Instrumental music. If you would come up to
Please.
the front, we'll take
Would
your
everybody
picture.
stand, please? These are our new educators, okay? These people are our everyday heroes. They're working with the kids all day long. They're the ones that deserve all the credit. Thank you. Congratulations. I want all of you folks to have a very productive year with our kids. Thank you. Non-certified personnel transportation, we have nothing. Transportation number 1.
Dantuno will move.
Francisco will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Marquette is absent. Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Dantuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent is absent. Solakowski.
Yes,
Resolution 1 for transportation passes.
thank you. Supplies, equipment, and services, only in one item.
Mazzone motion.
Can I get a second, please?
Dantuno?
Any discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Lent and Marquette are absent. Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Dantuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Solakowski.
Yes,
Resolution 1 for supplies, equipment, and services passes.
thank you. Miscellaneous 1 through 9. Can I get a motion to move miscellaneous, please?
Mazzone motion.
Can I get a second?
Jodry will second.
Any discussion?
Can I separate number 9 for voting, please?
Yes.
Number 8, I'm sorry.
Number 8. Okay, so we're voting on 1 through,
But I have a question.
yeah.
Dr. Holker, during the personnel meeting, remember I had asked about the syllabus? Oh, wait, was it during personnel or was it, I don't know, it was one of the meetings. I had asked, remember about the syllabus? Do you have any update on that?
So I did ask the question. I do not have the complete answer. The answer is sometimes, but it was something when I got the answer sometimes that we said we would bring it up at a curriculum meeting and talk about providing it with consistency moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, so we're voting on 1 through 7 and 9. Roll call, please.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent and Marquette are absent. Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
D'Antuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Solakowski.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 7 and 9 passes.
Thank you, Mr. Waddell. Now we're going to discuss number 8. It was separated. Who separated it?
I did,
Go
because I had
ahead.
to abstain.
Any other discussion, or you could have just abstained, but that's all right.
Not a common occurrence, so
No problem.
Okay, so we're voting on number 8.
Okay. Francisco,
Yes.
Lent and Marquette are absent. Mazzone,
Yes, but Jen, are we allowed to know why you're
because I donated
oh,
the
okay.
items.
Then yes.
Oh,
yes.
you
It's
are-
my name.
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes.
I
Again,
love it. I
vote on
love it.
myself.
What a board we have.
Slade,
Okay, number 8.
Yes.
D'Antuno,
Abstain.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Solakowski.
Yes.
Resolution number 8 for miscellaneous passes.
Board secretary and board business. Nothing. Okay. Hearing of residents on any school district issue. Anything to do with the school. Go ahead.
So before we get into this public portion, with Mr. Solakowski's request, under old and new business, we're going to have a discussion of a contract personnel matter. The member of the staff involved, Mr. Cittadino, has waived his privacy rights, which means that rather than going into executive session for that discussion, we'll be having that discussion here with you. However, it does not mean that there is an additional public portion to this meeting. My point being that this is your time for public comment. Once the board is having the discussion regarding Dave's contract, regardless of strong feelings on all or any side, there will not be additional public input at that point, just so everybody knows where this agenda stands.
Okay, so we're going to work with the public in the beginning. If you have any comments on any school district items. Okay.
Andrew Lewis, OBEA. I just want to go circle back for a minute to Play Unified, and it's correct that it's not in the contract right now that we just settled, because we said that we would follow up on it once we got the grant funding information. All right, so what I wanted to say, the members of the OBEA work to create a safe, inclusive, and nurturing learning environment for every student in our district. Our commitment to our students is unwavering. However, tonight I want to address a serious and a growing crisis. Assaults on our staff, assaults that are simply unacceptable anymore. It's not a new issue. It's one that's been addressed at every level except here at a public board meeting. And it pains me to speak about it this evening because it impacts my members and our students. But we've endured more than anyone should have to over the last few years. Every day, teachers, paraprofessionals, and other support staff come to work prepared to educate, support, and guide our students toward a bright future. They do so with compassion, dedication, and resilience. Lately, they've been showing up knowing that they might face aggression and physical violence from students. The policies that we have in place, the support that we need, and the enforcement that we count on are failing everyone. They're failing students, they're failing the student causing the injury, the students who are witness to it, and they're failing the staff. And we're at a breaking point, and it's time for some hard truths. The current situation has left our staff feeling unsupported and unsafe. It's left them wondering, am I truly valued in my job? Because what we're seeing right now doesn't feel like support, it feels like neglect. In the first 2 months of this school year, the OBEA has received 124 incident reports. Those aren't just numbers. Each represents a person who has been hurt physically. Assaults aren't just numbers, they're names, faces, and lives that are being affected. Every incident left unchecked sends a message that the very individuals entrusted with the education and care of our children are not safe in their workplace. There's a very serious incident that happened last week at one of our middle schools. Has the board been made aware of this incident yet? And if not, will you tonight in executive session? How many incidents has the board been made aware of since the start of 2024, since last January, or since we had a task force meeting or the special services committee meeting where you were told that you'd be given information about incidences that occurred in our schools. What we need urgently is for our board to create real and lasting change. One meeting of a task force, a few words on a piece of paper, it's not enough anymore. It's time for real action and accountability. I implore you to take this issue to heart and ensure that every staff member and student who enters our schools know that they are respected, protected, and valued. It's not a commitment to our staff. It's a commitment to every student in our district, and we expect action. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Oh, okay, we have someone.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you all got a good break in Atlantic City in the convention. I hope we got some new learnings. We would like to know, as the public and the community, what happened in the convention. Maybe not right now, definitely in one of the upcoming meetings. So you could share what exactly happened there. That will give some visibility to everyone. I got 3 topics here. First of all, this Thursday, it's Diwali. Diwali is a cultural festival. It's a festival of lights, celebrated predominantly by Asians and predominantly by the culture coming from India. So this Thursday we will gather to celebrate the Festival of Lights, a time of joy, prosperity, and the triumph of light over darkness. Diwali reminds us that even in the darkest times, there is always a light that guides us forward. Let us embrace the spirit of hope and renewal, and may the light of Diwali fill our homes and hearts with happiness and peace. So with that message, I would also like to talk about, there are similar festivals like Eid, which predominantly the Muslim community celebrate, and Diwali, which predominantly the Hindu community celebrate. So my request here is, a very humble request. This is again coming from the entire set of community here, as you know, I'm talking to many of the parents and the students. I'd like to put a request here in front of the board. I know years back, there was some kind of a policy that was put in place, but we really don't have real holidays for these kind of festivals. These children, together along with other kids, would like to invite, their other kids, other friends to homes. So if there is school on that day, it's impossible for them to gather together and celebrate. So there are many other towns around here, around Woolbridge, like Edison or South Brunswick, New Brunswick, many other towns, Sayreville, they have holidays for these cultural festivals. So my humble request here is we have to revisit for the upcoming calendar years how we can make this inclusive. And this will strengthen and bring more unity, starting with the kids. If the unity starts with the kids, then all along it's going to grow up. The another topic is, I know we had issues about the late bus cuts, and we all know the reasons around it. But what I'm also hearing from the community is more about, there is some of these programs are not accessible now because there is not enough enrollments, and looks like, again, this is public information. I would like to see a response today if available, or later at a time. The public information which we get, at least I get, is that some of the programs are being shut down or closed or not available to others. So I would like to validate this. And lastly, this is about the fire ban in New Jersey. We all know that there are elevated levels of fire at about 3, and because of the drought and the dry conditions. Why I highlight that is because in the festival time of Diwali, kids especially from the Indian community and the Asian community, they really like to play with fireworks, sparklers, and whatnot. This is not the right time. I just want this to be put into every possible kid or others to know that it is banned this season across New Jersey. So starting with the kids and parents, please support that and be aware of it. Let's play it safe. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Richard Dunn, 58 Norman Lane in this great township of Woolbridge. I just want to preface a few things this evening. Number one, as we know, November 5th is Election Day, and I see that the 6 candidates for the Board of Education are in this room. And I just want to thank everyone for a very vibrant discussion during these last 3 months since August when we filed our petitions. And, we all have our opinions, and we have the right to believe what we do, and we could work together for the betterment of the school district. So it takes a very special person to throw themselves out there in this arena. So the 6 candidates who are out there, I want to commend them for, a very positive campaign. They all have done a wonderful job in articulating their positions and where they stand. And we're at the culmination point of to determine who of the 3 are going to be sitting up at that podium come January. So I want to thank all the candidates who are here from the bottom of my heart for working for the students, because all 6 are working for the kids, and they're trying to do their best. So ridicule is tough. I've been a person, who has been targeted a few times, just like everyone else might have been. But we have to work together, no matter who gets up there, and we're going to work together. So I just want to thank all 6, actually all 5, for putting themselves out there in that arena. You have to have a thick skin, and a lot of things come your way, and you need to brush it off and move forward. I've been up at the dais for 10 years, so I know how it is. So it's not easy. It's not easy. So let's give the candidates a round of applause for being able to be out there and campaigning for the children, which is very, very important. Number 2, I want to just, again, briefly speak about David Cittadino. Again, David has been the backbone of this district for 12 years. David has been a remarkable superintendent. I believe in what he's done. I believe what's in his heart. And I know that a good majority of this township believe in David and what he's done. We've all been the beneficiaries of his kindness, his dedication, his progressive thinking, and his actually great stewardship of this incredible district. We've made so many beautiful and remarkable accolades in the last 12 years, and he's a big part of it. And I know that there's going to be a discussion in a few minutes about David, but I can tell you my 10 years, David was always very helpful. Anytime I had a question or a concern, I would call him, or I would email him, and his door was always open. So there should be never a board member who doesn't have the information. And that information can be easily gotten by a phone call. So when a board member says that they don't have the information, they can't make a rational decision, I think that's hogwash. I think the administration has always been very gracious with their time, and to make sure that all board members are edified and educated before making a decision. So with that said, David, I want to thank you. You've been a terrific superintendent here in Old Bridge, and I'm hoping for many more years for you to be here leading this great school district. And I appeal to everyone to give that David what he deserves. Thank you, everyone.
Anyone else? Okay, we're going to close the public portion of the meeting.
Matt?
Yes, and we're going to open it up to the board. What?
Over here.
Go ahead.
We're going to do new business? Because if I, which part are we doing this?
We're
Because-
going to do this under new business.
Okay, so I have something first.
For old business.
Okay, can I have
Yes,
something
go
first to
ahead.
talk about? Okay. Because I know once we do that, there's going to be no coming back from it. Mr. Gregorian was talking a little bit about the pink out at Cooper School, and I just wanted to thank them for inviting the board. They invite them every year. They invite us every year. And I also was kind of on a mission to share good news in Old Bridge schools, just to make sure that, a lot of what we talk about up here is, things that we have to fix, things that we have to work on, things we have to improve. But I just wanted to make sure that when I go to different schools, I share good news from people. So when I was at Pink Out, I talked to the principal and I talked to another teacher there, and I realized that both Cooper's principal, Dr. Kathy Gramada, and one of Cooper's RTI interventionists, Dion Phillips, both earned their PhDs. I think that's awesome. Dr. Gramada's doctoral study was about providing recommendations for solving the problem of chronic absenteeism at the early elementary levels. She completed hers in July and graduated with a doctorate in education with a concentration in curriculum and instruction with high distinction. Dr. Gramata shared, for this year we are looking to ensure the insertion of attendance interventions meet district standards and policies involving the current RTI process and program. Further, a discussion of student motivation for these interventions must include 3 factors for success: affiliation, independence, and competence. Students becoming part of school resources that lead them to more successful outcomes will benefit from the experience. And Dr. Dion Phillips, her doctoral study examined a professional development initiative aimed at providing educators with the knowledge and understanding of culturally relevant pedagogy, CRP, to establish a deeper connection and sense of belonging between the teachers, students, specifically students of color, the students' family members, the school, and the community. Dr. Phillips completed her doctorate in teacher leadership in September. She stated, the rationale for my study focused on the trends that underscore a significant reshaping of the demographic composition of our student body, highlighting shifts toward a more diverse enrollment landscape. Dr. Phillips also shared, this is not a list to be checked off or heritage honoring holidays, but a state of mind to believe in our students that support their skills and abilities. This framework can be incorporated within the teaching practice, within the physical classroom, lessons, interaction, and language of educators that show they value their students' identities and high academic expectations for all students. I just wanted to say congratulations to both Dr. Gramata and Dr. Phillips on an impressive and inspiring accomplishment.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, I have a few things.
Go ahead.
I did want to address the comments about the calendar. We, as a district, had put out a survey to the families, and the families chose to not choose those days off. But Mr. Cittadino has been a big component of, if it's your holiday, celebrate it. You know, the kids have the 17 sick days, kind of use them or lose them type thing. So we have offered that, and the community decided they'd rather not go to June 29th in air-conditioned schools, but we don't prevent the students and their friends from celebrating. Also wanted to touch on Cooper. It was a great event. I stopped by in the morning before work, and the excitement with all the kids. I mean, one kid was pink from head to toe. I'm talking arm, skin, everything. It was amazing. I was unable to attend Shiraz, but the passion that he brings to the program and the envelopment by the staff and the students to make it happen was just amazing to watch. I did kind of want to bring up the old topic of meeting with the town and trying to set an agenda. I think there's some opportunities at town level for our students, and I'd like to, those are some of the things I'd like to discuss if we could get a meeting with the town council. So I was just trying to work on the agenda.
Under shared services, Mr. Wydell tried to set up a meeting, and the wind-up was that they didn't have the same dates that we had. They're still I believe you're still working on it, right?
We're still working.
We will do something.
We were
So
out
I was
last
not aware
week.
of
Okay.
that.
We
Yeah,
tried to
we're
get it
working on
this
it. I'm
week.
working with Mr. Wydell on this, and I spoke to the president of the town council. So she was busy that day. We had a
Thank you.
meeting scheduled. Thank you. Any
Yes, I have 2 comments. One comment is to Mr. Dunn's point of anytime we ask for a question, anytime we abstain to voting for a certain reason, never once do we ever say that we were not handed the information. Anytime we have emailed admin, they do everything they can to get back to us as soon as possible with any amount of information that we ask for. Where we abstain to is if we didn't have enough time to review the entire packet that is handed. Kieran, to your comment with the workshop, I have to say, and I think everyone on the board agrees, we had such a nice time last week. It was filled with a lot of workshops that are very informative, helped us better understand different situations. You were able to choose whatever workshops you wanted to go to. Yeah, we did. We had a very nice week last week. It was very, very helpful.
We're going to do it again next year.
Matt, I have
Anyone
one more
else?
thing. Yes, I have one more thing to bring up. In response to Mr. Lewis's comments, I think the people on the task force would love to keep it going and have an ongoing meetings with the task force. I think it was really helpful. We identified a lot of places where we could make improvements, but I think keeping that going would be a really good thing, and I think all the members are interested. As far as policy 5612, that and Andrew brought up the fact that teachers are being assaulted. There's a policy that sets out the criteria for parents to be called to pick up their child if there's an assault has happened on a staff member. But there's also a second part to the policy that has the reporting by principals to administration, and then administration is supposed to report out the number of assaults or staff injuries at a board meeting. I think doing that and, not only requesting parents to pick up the students, but following the second part of the policy as well, would be helpful.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, a few things. So a while ago, we had a policy meeting with literally 100 teachers were in that room talking about the assaults they had from students. And the policy we were going to try to revise was the one against corporal punishment, because I think at some level you need to have some self-defense if a student attacks you. But of course, on the other side, you're going to have a bunch of parents like, oh, they can't touch my kid no matter what they do. So you're going to have that backlash, but I'm still looking forward to having that conversation as well. At the convention, I took a bunch of workshops and courses. I sat in the annual law forum on Thursday. I learned about the Open Public Records Act updates, school safety, and we had what'd you call that? Not a seminar, but basically like Old Bridge Day, where all the vendors of the schools try to advertise their product. What? Exhibit hall. Thank you. We had it exhibit hall, and a lot of good information, a lot of competition between companies. Hold on, I wrote a bunch of stuff. Congratulations to those recognized before for helping with the awareness and trying to find the cure for breast cancer. The board appreciates that very much. In response to the correspondence about us asking questions, I read all schedules and attachments, and if necessary, I'll send an email to Mr. Wydell. And I did ask in public a few questions, because usually when we vote no on things, there's a lot of backlash, but there's no backlash when we vote yes on certain things. And something the public, or some people might not know, is that during the weekend, Friday to today, new things get added on, so I understand the reason that some board members may not have the appropriate time to vote on them. Okay. And just in case we don't get to new business, as a reminder, get out and vote. Good luck to all the candidates for the Board of Education. I can tell you from experience that it's the only election not controlled by party bosses and gerrymandering, like many on the top of the ballot. So please take it seriously, enjoy it, and for any young adults or anyone else voting in general, the power to change your life, make your life better is in you. Don't rely on candidates, even if they win or lose, and that's it. And then all my comments are going to be about the contracts when we get to that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good luck to all the candidates.
Yes.
Yes, good luck. We all know it's not easy.
I did it 8 times. It's tough, I'm telling you. I'm still sitting here. I don't know why. But, okay, that's the end of the public portion,
Just,
I believe.
can I just
I
add?
have Oh, we have some more? Go ahead.
Just
ahead.
to answer to Mr. Mantekison, is when we adopted that new calendar, not for this current year, I think it's the next school year, the holidays which you mentioned are early dismissal days. I think that's the way the board decided to modify the calendar. So I know doesn't give everything that you're looking for, but allows the peers of your children who are in school to be released from school early to come to your home and celebrate with your children, who will be celebrating the Festival of Lights, Diwali, this week, and Eid and other holidays throughout the community.
Can I just say one thing? We also sent out a survey to the families. So the families that did respond, overwhelmingly, they didn't want to make the school year longer. They opted for the half days. So we can send out another we can send out another survey, and if that changes, but we went with the majority of what the survey responses were.
Anyone else?
So I have some new business. One, after the DEI and Care Committee meeting tomorrow night, the Marching Knights are having a send-off at Lombardi Field at 8:30. So, you know, I'm inviting everyone to come to Lombardi Field and wish our Marching Knights a great send-off. One of the things I did learn at convention is how behind schedule we are in compliance and stuff as a board. I know, you know, second year, you know, still learning, but some of the stuff we're discussing, you know, with Dave and his eval and stuff was something that should have been done in the spring. So I'm just hoping that as a board we can make next year better and be more in compliance and on time with things.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, again, I'm going to close the portion, and we're going to talk about the contract, I guess, right? Okay. Do I start it? Mr. Citadino, you want to start?
Sure, I'll just make an opening comment. Thank you as comment as connected to by Mr. Parton. I'm happy that there's consensus of amongst the board to extend my contract. I believe the information that it provided to me was that the board was consensus to provide me with a 1-year extension. At this point, I'm just asking for the board for a 2-year extension. That is inclusive of they're completing this school year and 2 years beyond that. And I'll let the board respond, and I'll give my rationale as to why.
Thank you. Okay, I guess it's my turn. Everything I state here, this is my opinion. When we hired Mr. Citadino, he was principal at Salk School. And my first encounter with this individual, I like him. I mean, he's a nice guy, but I brought something in. He was the principal in the school at the time. We had 20 applicants for an English position. Back then, what we used to do is we used to get the entire packet with the person that we're hiring, their resume and everything else. They don't do that anymore. They do everything secretly, behind closed doors. And I'm totally against it. We had a candidate with a position for an English teacher. We had 20 people that applied. And back then, I was able to get all their resumes. 5 or 6 of them were totally qualified to teach English because they were certified. And Mr. Citadino at the time was the principal, and we hired a person that was not certified in English, or ELA. She was a hotel motel management, and she went alternate route. I mean, that turned me off right on the spot when we had so many candidates that were qualified, and this individual hired somebody that wasn't. It was a political appointment. Probably. This is my opinion again. If you want to see it, I have it right here. Okay.
So because he hired someone that
That
had
wasn't
an alternate
certified,
route-
but there was 5 people that were certified and had the certificate to teach English.
Okay.
This was a
So-
political appointment.
Okay.
That turned
and-
me off right on the spot.
And I can respect your opinions.
You weren't here for all this. I was. Go ahead.
Can I
That
respond to it?
Yes.
Okay. One, I was the principal, and the principals, we send out interviews, and we make a recommendation, and that's it. We don't go further than that. The board gets, you know, you're talking, I think that was 2006. The board is, you don't get paper packets anymore because
It
we
was
don't use paper
2008.
It's okay.
2008. Go ahead.
We don't use paper packets anymore. I made that recommendation because the person was a highly qualified person who went alternate route into English and went to an Ivy League school and came out as probably one of the best people that can provide our students. You know, it's not easy to get into an Ivy League school. So looking at who can provide our students, especially students from Old Bridge, especially students who have come from low socioeconomics, that this person was able to come from Old Bridge, get into an Ivy League school, and be successful and graduate at the top of their class is something that our students could look forward to. All I did was make a recommendation to the board. The board then, at least 6 of the 9 people on the board, voted to approve that recommendation.
And 3 didn't, and I was one of them that said no, because there's something wrong over here. I smell a skunk in a chicken coop over here, okay?
first, I'm impressed that you remember exactly who he's talking about 20 years later. But when I'm looking at hiring some contract, the work they've done more, in the more present time, in the rough times that we've had is what I'm looking at. We all, I'm sure if you look in all of our closets, we all have some wrong move we did 20 years ago that someone somewhere isn't going to approve. Again, not saying that your reasons are wrong, I'm just asking that we look at things more recent. As far as the 2-year versus 1 year, I'd be in favor of a 2-year. The 1 year makes it convenient for the board to do a timely search where we don't end up with just someone sitting in there and in the interim. 2-year means that we appreciate the work that's being done. We'd like to continue to see the district move in the direction it has been, and I'd be in favor of a 2-year because that's what's right for the district, not just what's right for the board.
Okay, we're going to move forward now.
Yes, I'd like to.
Go ahead.
So go. Can we still speak? Or no?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you want to?
I just wanted to say also, I'm in favor of the 2-year because it would give us time to find somebody and to do a proper search. We haven't looked at evaluations. We haven't done any of that in the past few years. We don't even, Jen and I were talking today that we don't even know, what's involved as far as like evaluations and things like that. So just because we haven't done it, our board hasn't been involved in any of that we should have been. And Matt, to your point, I completely understand that there are some things in the past, but I think when we were given these books I think it was last month you gave us? So it has all the accomplishments, all the great things and achievements of Old Bridge High School, professional development. It has all kinds of things that all the awards are on the back that our school district has received. And I mean, you can look at certain things you don't like the way something happened, but performance-wise, we're not marrying Dave Cittadino. We're looking for him to continue to be our superintendent. And I think that we have to overlook any personal problems or any personal things we object to and look and see professionally what has he done for us, where has he brought us, where has he taken our students and our staff in our schools. And I think for that reason that I would vote to continue for 2 more years and do a proper search when the time comes.
Jay, Jay, you're going?
No, I just want, real quick.
Yeah.
I appreciate Matt having more of a history with Dave, but I want to discuss Dave as a superintendent, not so much of what he did as a principal. I've worked with Dave for 3 years. I've been impressed, not from day one, it took some while, just to get to know him better from where I came off of. It's kind of weird to talk about somebody when they're in the room, like it's a third person or a piece of equipment in the district, but just based on the timeline that we were discussed, the fact that it's November and we haven't started the process, I think Jen alluded to the fact that we're going to rush to find somebody. I've never been part of the process of getting a superintendent, but again, I think that 2-year window puts everybody at ease. We get to interview enough. I heard it's a 9-month to a year process, and it's November, and his contract's over in June of 25. So the fact that I think he's done a great job, again, this speaks about his accolades. I know we've heard only great things at the podium. I haven't been privy to the bad guy room, so I haven't heard anything. I do support the 2-year. I just think it just helps the process. If we're stuck with him for 2 years, it's not a bad thing. The guy's done some great things for the district. I think a lot of parents are happy of the results. And I think we just need to move forward and stay focused. And we know we have to find somebody new. So that 2-year window would help. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'll say something. So there's no doubt that I think that Mrs. Cittadino has done great things for the district. He has. He cares about the kids. He somehow remembers everything, and I don't know how, but he does. Where I'm getting stuck is if
I feel like us offering the, 1 year, it's like a negotiation, just like we did with the teacher's contract, it's a negotiation. So, right now we're stuck, and it's, you want 2 years, we offered 1. So if you're not willing to work with us, then why should we consider working to your contract? My thing is us extending you that 1
Public
year
comments done.
gives us
Quiet, please.
plenty of time to still look for another superintendent. Another thing that has me going back and forth, and I spoke to you about this over lunch, was last year when you agreed to a salary increase, and this being your last year, and then this year you said you had changed your minds, which is fine, people change their minds. But what does that say about character? If you're not going to follow through with your word, then why do we have to give you what you want? And my thing is yes, people come up here and they will say everything good that they have to say about you, and again, most of it is true. But no one is going to come up to that podium and say bad stories. Nobody is going to come up there and tell you, as their boss, things that they don't approve of and things that they don't like. That's my opinion. So that's where I'm stuck right now.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll chime in.
Go ahead.
So first, I would like to say that, everyone is quick to always judge us and being, this divided board. And I think that it deserves some credit that we actually came together, and we couldn't agree maybe on 2 or 0, and we came to a compromise in the middle, which I think needs to be noted. And I will say that, the more division, or the division that people perceive, at least, is just the talk. There's not as much division. We just spent the last week together, and we had an awesome time. And I'll speak for myself. Maybe not everybody had a great time, but we did. I had a great time with other board members. I had a great time with administration. There's a lot of good to be done here. There's a lot of education to give, and wonderful things that this district does. This entire thing somehow has turned into a spectacle, and it really shouldn't have. I am, again, I'm speaking for me. I am so tired of hearing, oh my goodness, we need to put our personal agendas and our political agendas and vendettas aside. It is getting old. I have 0 personal agenda against Mr. Cittadino. 0. There's been no negative interactions. I might have been a little upset about something as a parent that was not his fault at all in the past. I've got nothing. There's nothing personal or political going on here. So you can, say that all you need to, put it on Facebook all you need to. It doesn't make it true. So that's number 1. My professional opinion of Mr. Cittadino is a good one. I think he's done a lot for the district. I think he's a good person. I think he's great with kids. I think he's great with his staff. I think he's thoughtful and compassionate. And I think that the people who came to the podium to speak on his behalf is a beautiful thing. Some of those stories brought me to tears. I know they brought you to tears in remembering a lot of those different stories and scenarios and how you were there for people and how you supported staff. But my job as a board member is to be objective as I can. It's almost impossible to take emotion out when you're dealing with children, and that's our job. We deal with children. And I was a teacher. It's all emotional. But I am trying to remove myself from those emotional stories and focus on education. I can think all of those great things about Mr. Cittadino and what he's done for the district, and I can also think that it's time for change. I can think both of those things. And because you might not agree doesn't make it wrong, and it doesn't make it untrue. So that's where I am. I have seen staff and parents come up, speak positively on his behalf. And as Christina said, you're not going to get parents or staff members to come up and speak negatively. It's a skewed view. I am a voice for the people, not a voice for me. I'm a voice for our children. I'm a voice for our community. And I have been taking the time to talk to as many community members, as many parents, I've been in the town a long time, to try and gather that feeling and gather that information. So I'm letting you know that I'm genuinely trying to do my homework. And yes, and maybe there's some board members up here that haven't heard some of those negative things. And what am I going to do, throw people under the bus and share their names and their stories that they've confided in me confidentially? No, I'm not going to. You can say it didn't happen and it's not there. That's for you to decide. I know it's there, and I know that these opinions exist. I also feel, Mr. Cittadino, that you did give your word that, you know, it was a handshake, it was a deal, it was a contract, it wasn't in writing, that this was going to be your last year. And instead of staying for the year that we've offered, it's become a further spectacle and creates division just by us going back and forth. And it's a good conversation. We're always going to disagree. It's important that we disagree. But I just feel like we could have moved forward. We could have had you for another year, and you would have your contract extended. The community has asked for your contract to be extended. We offered a year for extension, and you're still choosing not to. So that's where I'm at. That's as honest as I can be. Thank you.
Can I,
Go ahead. Anyone else?
No, Mrs. Lino, you go first.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think I have addressed this in the past. No, I did not make a deal with the entire board that this would be my last year or anything. When asked about it, I said I believe this would be my last year. I believe my intent was to retire. I gave the same reasons I'm going to tell the public now. We had just come out of COVID. It was very difficult on my mental health, my physical health, having to deal with that. I've spent, you know, probably 9 years fighting some kind of battle in this district, whether it be an S2 district, being COVID, whether it be charter schools. There's always been a battle and a fight, and S2 has been very difficult. And coming into this, being an S2 district, we were also looking at negotiations this year. I was very pleased that negotiations with our largest bargaining union went very well. That's not always been the case, and you know, that is always very taxing as someone who, you know, supports our staff, but also has to be the administrative support of the board. But that went away. You guys went to the table and negotiated fairly, and that problem was rectified. And looking at it, I still think I still think of positive things to add to this district and add to this board. And, you know, but I must say that in making the decision, I walk away from this at the end of this year, even right now, if I walked away today, I have nothing from the past few years to show the work I've done. And, you know, I've talked to the board about this. I've talked to them in private. I've talked to them in public. I've talked just trying to get work done. And it's not just this year. It's going on years. I haven't been evaluated in 3 years. So this board paid me last year $238,000, and you didn't think to evaluate me. You talk about fiscal responsibility. You talk about being the voice of the people for making sure that you're the voice of the taxpayer. The person you paid the most, and it's your only job to evaluate, you didn't evaluate. And you didn't do it last year, and you didn't do it the year before that. And now you're going to say, hey, we're done with you. We're done with you. Go on your way. And we want to say, you know, we'd like you to stay, but we can't tell you what you did bad because we didn't evaluate you. We didn't, you know, I'll say, hey, listen, okay, if you don't want to give me another contract, beyond the fact that I changed my mind, tell me where in my evaluation I didn't do what you wanted me to do. And I think that's fair. You want data. That's the main source of data, extension of data for my contract, is where do I stand on my assessment? Where did you evaluate me? And I didn't live up to it. Everywhere across the state of New Jersey, every superintendent's held to that standard, except here in Old Bridge. And that's an issue. And I don't think that it's unfair for me to say, listen, I want a year, I'd like to be evaluated properly, and I'd like to an extension upon that year. You're offering a year, I'm saying I would like 2 years. I would like to have 2 years of positive, well, I would hope they'd be positive, and I have nothing but positive evaluations. And then I could retire if I wanted to work outside. I could say, listen, I have these evaluations from my last districts. Right now I have no evaluations. And, you know, I think I'm owed that. And I think that the people of this community are owed that.
That was part of the learning curve. I thought, and part of what I learned at convention, to let the public know, we get a survey in the spring. Dave fills it out, and then we fill it out. I didn't realize there was a second part. I thought once I filled out my online survey, that was done. I didn't realize that the leadership team were supposed to set up the SBA to come in to give you a formal eval. So had I known that, I would have been a board member to push for that. So from my part in that, I apologize. because I think it is a give and take. I think, you know, you want certain parts from us, we want certain parts from you. I don't think we can do a fair thing. I was asked if I would consider a 1 year, and I said I would mull it over, and the board kind of went over that way. After mulling it over, I don't agree to a 1 year because I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to Dave. I think it's being greedy and selfish to us as board members, because then that saves our butt and gets us covered for the work that we have to do. But we haven't done our work as a board for, he's saying 3, I've only been on 2. And you know, we need to be held accountable too. And it's not just, you know, the voting box every 3 years. We need to be held accountable every year of what job we're supposed to be doing, what requirements we're supposed to do, and we haven't done that.
Well, we haven't done that. This is our first year on the board. So the last 3 years that there weren't any evaluations has nothing to do with Elena and I, because we weren't here the last 3 years.
No, but when we when we swear in and we take
the
this
uhs
seat,
and the ohs, the uhs and the ohs, because no one can have an opinion unless that's what you guys want to hear, but this is
no,
the truth.
Okay, I'm gonna get involved. Okay, it's up to the board president to set up the evaluation. For the last 2 years, the presidents didn't do anything. This year, I pulled out the whip, and we are gonna evaluate because we have a person right here from the New Jersey School Boards, okay?
in November.
So
because I've
we
been
did
asked.
our job this year, so don't say we didn't do our job.
Right.
Not
Okay.
not in a timely fashion.
And there's nothing wrong with the timing. What?
What was
We're
wrong with
supposed
the
to be in
timing?
the spring.
No.
It's November. It's supposed to be done in the spring. Sal, is there things you would like to say? You can cut off.
Yes, every administration person, the assistant superintendent, the BA, the assistant BA, all have 1-year contracts. So looking to renew Mr. Cedino a year at a time, we could amend. It was a 3-year contract. We could go up to 5. So renewing him year by year is fair and appropriate. And I haven't said anything when I have evaluated him in the past 4 or 5 years. I've never had any complaints professionally. I do think the looming threat of retirement is a professional worry, so I'm completely okay with renewing a year at a time. About a week ago, I contacted the NJSBA. I was interested to see, because when we do the superintendent search, they have the aspiring superintendents ready, so I was trying to ask for that list. They haven't gotten back to me, so. But I think it's appropriate to plan for the future. We could acknowledge the past and the present, but if we could get a high-quality superintendent and give a 3-year contract, then, or even more, 3, 4, 5, depending on what the board decides, I think that's a reasonable thought to have. And we do have until March. I'm still, I'll admit, I'm confused because I'm used to doing things fast. I can't see how it would take months to find a superintendent. If we hired someone, it could be done in a timely manner. But once again, I would like to see the list. If there's no one as qualified or I feel comfortable with going into the future for the next 3 years, then it's appropriate to renew the contract year by year.
Sal, you were in the
And
class.
it's gonna roll over. If we don't make a decision, it'll roll over to the previous 3-year contract. Right.
Thank you, Sal.
Can I just add a
Go ahead.
comment? I really think that you need to investigate the amount of time that it does take to do a superintendent search, because it is 6 to 9 months. And if you wait until March, you will not have a superintendent in the district in June if Mr. Citadino decides to leave at that time and the contract isn't extended. And it creates chaos within the district of who is the leader and what is going on. And when you extend for 1 year, you do the same thing if you don't have a plan in place to do the search.
But every other administrative position is 1 year.
Every other administrative position is not the superintendent of schools. It's not as easy to find someone who is going to take on a district this size, have any kind of experience, and be able to manage it. You have to think about the district and the size and the scope of the responsibility for this position.
That's why we're offering the year, though, because then that gives us a year and a half to do our research.
You're offering the year to give you the time that wasn't planned for and should have been planned for in advance, knowing that the contract was ending. Then the decision should have been made earlier so that you had the time to do the search.
And Sal, you were with me in the class last year at convention on the superintendent search because we did know that Dave's contract was up. So this technically should have started when you were president, and that's when the process should have started. You were there when they said 6 to 9, and that's if everything goes smoothly. There were plenty of districts saying they're on year 2.
We didn't have the votes to make a decision. We still don't have votes to
We
make a
didn't have the
decision.
conversation.
This sets the board apart, all this
Always.
nonsense.
It's
Let me
not
finish.
nonsense.
Let,
It's our
let-
district.
let me finish this is
It is nonsense. You're
this is
bringing
about
up
me and
irrelevant
Mr.
information.
Sedadino.
We are where we are now. We could do year by year and see what happens. And we
Right.
could do the same thing next year.
Sal, just to be clear about the year-by-year thing, you're right that you can do a new contract and extend the superintendent, but there is a difference, and I just want to be clear that we can't give him a one-year deal. You can give him a new 3-year contract that goes backwards and forwards. It is different in New Jersey, to Dr. Hoker's point. All your central administrators, other than the SUP, have to get 1-year contracts. You know, no matter how great you think a central administrator and assistant SUP, a BA is, the most you can do is give them a 1-year contract and talk about it again next year. Superintendent gets a contract that's no shorter than 3, no longer than 5. Now, you can rescind and replace and have the effect of extending it. And when you have somebody who's towards the end of their career, and we've had discussions about retirement, that may be something that you want to consider as a board. As we've discussed, it requires 5 board votes because you're appointing a staff member. It's a pretty wide open process, but just to clear up the idea that we can just talk about it each year and bump them along, that's not really how it works. It is kind of what you're talking about with the 1-year proposal, but it's just a little bit more complicated than that.
Thank you.
And I just want to make a point, because I just want to be clear from Ms. Francisco. I had no intention of making this public. Again, I had no intention. But at the last meeting, a board member said that I have inside information on Mr. Cittadino that the public doesn't know about that will only come out in executive session. So how do you think the public felt? It sounded pretty nefarious. So that's why I want to have this public. So if there's anything you want to say about me, say it now, and don't say you're going to say it in executive session, because the public thought it was something a lot worse.
I see
But
we
no,
have
no,
a
no,
lot
no,
of
hold-
supporters for
hold
Mr.
on, hold on,
Cittadino
hold on.
here, huh?
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Yeah, you just waived your privacy rights, so I wasn't going to tell people that you were going to retire. That I wasn't going to say that.
It
And
sounded a lot worse than I was
that's
going to
something
retire,
That's
Sal.
something that the public doesn't know.
Come on, ladies.
And that is inside information that is now
'Cause
public after you
I know
waived
you
your
didn't say
privacy
it.
rights.
So Sal,
The
We're
comment was made.
we're not ending your contract.
I know.
We're trying
Your
to.
comment made, Mr. Giordano, was that I have information that the public doesn't know about Mr. Cittadino.
They know now.
And I'll, well,
They know now.
it's the way you say, saying you're retiring is a lot different than the way you made it sound.
Yes.
You made it sound like I stole money from little kids.
No.
Oh.
I've never been the emotional type. I focus on logic. So if you and the public were offended, then I'll apologize for that. But there was nothing nefarious about what I said. And this is something you and the public have been doing. You're trying to make people look bad for just asking questions about this contract. I've never said I wanted to get rid of you and not renew your contract. In fact, if I could predict, and at the convention, we had a safety convention, and they were saying how Mr. Cittadino takes safety very seriously. So if I did have that list, I probably would say that he is the most qualified, and I would make the decision then, but, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry if any of you got triggered. I apologize. I tend to do that a lot, but it's just the facts.
Okay. Now Mr. Cittadino becomes an assistant superintendent under Dr. Brennan. Dr. Brennan was an interim superintendent at the time, and Dr. Bosco left before his time. So we had, I believe, Dr. Brennan for a year and a half, and Mr. Cittadino was his assistant. At that time, a lot of complaints came in about the planetarium. So I took, the superintendent at the time was Dr. Brennan. I says, we have to do something here. Kids are beating each other up. They don't have anything to do in a planetarium.
What year was this?
What we did is we took $50,000 from the athletic fund to redo both planetariums. And now I find out that they closed this one down without telling the board. This is our superintendent. He does what he wants to do. I can't believe it. Without telling the board.
What year was this?
I don't know when they closed the planetarium. All I know is that we completely upgraded both planetariums. We had teachers in both of them. And now, what happened? It's gone. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move forward. $50,000 gone. Just think about it. And the room is sitting there empty. That's our superintendent. That's our superintendent.
Okay, can I make a request? And this is for anybody wanting to say
Be
anything.
quiet, be quiet, be quiet.
Right.
Speak when spoken to.
So, can I make a comment? Oh my God.
I never said that. I never said that. You're
Over
insane.
what did he say?
And the
All right.
asinine.
Time out.
All right, Scott.
No.
All right,
no, no,
Scott,
no,
Scott,
no.
Scott.
Mr. Mazzella,
No,
Mr.
no,
Mazzella, I
no,
appreciate it.
Thank you, thank
Enough.
you.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Mazzella, thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Okay,
Goodbye.
enough.
See you later.
That's
Bye.
good.
We're good,
So,
Scott.
what I was going to say was, we all in this room, no matter how we feel, owe each other the respect of listening. That's what we teach our children when someone else in the class is speaking, that everyone else is listening quietly and attentively. So if we can't do that as adults, I don't know how we're educating our kids to do the same thing.
Hold on.
Security,
Scott,
security.
enough.
Scott, easy,
Enough.
okay? We'll
The
talk
public portion is gone. Thank you.
Matt, hold on. So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. It is absolutely fair and appropriate and expected for everyone to have strong emotions about this. This is a pivotal issue in the school district, no matter what ends up happening. But this is you eavesdropping completely legally on executive session. You are here as spectators, and we have to let all sides be heard because the board members are expressing their opinions, and the superintendent has waived his privacy right. So Mr. Solikowski is doing something that is unusual and unexpected, but completely legal, because he's talking about his feelings about the superintendent in the context of renewing a contract or not. You're along for the ride. Buckle up.
He's not allowed to.
Again, everything I say is my opinion. I'm not talking for the board. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, now, Cheesequake School. Just think about it. A blue ribbon school, closed. Tried to sell it for money because he wanted to make all these things go. And yet, I asked him to remove or, let's put it this way, dismiss one or two administrators. He said, no, I need them. But yet, he went after all the little
If you
people
can't listen,
and got
leave.
rid of them, okay? Cheesequake School, he couldn't sell it, so we were renting it out. I believe the contract's up this year or next year. And then what are we going to do? We have a building over there, probably nobody going to be in it. I'm totally against it. And then 27 acres of land was sold by this administration to try to make ends meet again. Apparently, the administration is doing something wrong over here.
Matt, question for clarification.
Go ahead.
The closing of Cheesequake
Go
and
ahead.
the selling of land had to have board approval, correct?
And I voted no on everything. God, check the records. I voted no on
I-
selling the land, the school.
That's fine, but you keep blaming administration.
It is administration.
But it's not, it's the board, and the people that made those decisions either got reelected or didn't get reelected. That's a board decision.
The proposals came from the administration.
So the administration as a team,
Everything
Not
stops
an
at the top, the superintendent, and then it filters on down. And if anything goes wrong, the superintendent is at fault,
so what
not
went-
the people below
What went
him.
wrong?
Okay, the 27 acres, 10,000 or $10 million. We couldn't use it for whatever we wanted to. It has to go into infrastructure, I guess, for the buildings. Okay, here's another one. I guess this happened maybe 5 or 6 years ago, which also turned my stomach. We were short a French teacher for a couple of periods because we had an over-enrollment. So what we did is we ensured services with another district, 2 periods or 3 periods, so we shared, I guess, the medical expenses and everything else. And at the same time, a person that was teaching one of the practical arts programs in the same school, middle school, was subbing. A wood shop. You can't do anything in a wood shop if you have a substitute in there because it's all machines. They should have hired a teacher when that person was on medical. This administration didn't care. This is what they did in wood shop. Can you believe this? Okay? This was supposed to be for keys, holding keys. They never got to anything because they were subbed. So what Mr. Cittadino did is he took a teacher from Sauk, brought him over to Sandburg for a couple of periods here and there. I offered my services to go in there and teach the class because I'm certified in the area. Okay? Again, that was a stomach turner. Nobody cared about it. All these kids. Remember, we're supposed to be there for all the kids, not only the academic kids. And this administration, or this superintendent, apparently he doesn't know what's going on in that area. Here's another great one. The lifts. The lifts broke, and I go up to the superintendent. I said, "Hey, the lifts are gone." I don't know anything about it. You're the superintendent. I'm giving you $250,000 a year. You don't know anything what's going on in our district? Shame on you. That's another thing that turned me. Okay, contract. He had a 5-year contract. The salary was frozen at, I believe, $218,000 or something like this. I felt sorry for the guy. So what I did is I approached him, and since I was the deciding vote, I said, here's what we'll do. We'll give you the 3 years, 218 or whatever it is. Then he went up to 235 or 238, and now he's at 250. He said, I'm going to leave after that. I said, okay, no problem. And then he lied to me. He says, oh, no, now I want a 3-year contract. In his mind, he already knew that he wanted the 3-year contract, but he lied to me to get that $250,000 and $235,000 because the salary was frozen. And I think, Mr. Sal, you were there for that, right?
Yes, that's why I brought it up.
My stomach is constantly in knots with this administration. The mistakes that were made because he's not there for all the kids, or better yet, he doesn't know what's going on everywhere. And we're paying him top dollars to be there. Okay, then what we did, I went up and I said, we'll give you an extra year, this year and next year, at $250,000 and a 4% increase. He says, no, I want 3. But I'm not going to give him 3, at least my vote. I don't know about the other people. Anyone else commented on it?
I mean, is this like the mat roast of Dave? You keep saying that we're going to stop and move on, but then...
He wanted this. I didn't want this.
No, but you're not even, it seems like you're just the focus of just roasting the guy.
Yes, I am. Because all the mistakes that were made in the last 10 or 12 years, him being superintendent, he should know everything.
And you don't have any accomplishments on that sheet?
No, hey, you don't look at the accomplishments, you look at the mistakes. The accomplishments are always going to be there, okay?
Chris, I have a question for clarification.
Yes.
We need 5 votes to give him a contract.
Yes.
And if he doesn't have 5 votes, can you share with the public what happens, please?
Yeah. To non-renew Mr. Cittadino requires notification from the board, which means 5 people. The deadline for that is March 30th because it's a 90-day contract clause, which is consistent with what the statute requires. So it would require 5 people. You have 8 board members because right now Ms. Lent cannot participate. She has a family member employed in the district. So you would need 5 out of 8 to say, we're going to notify Dave that he's out of here. You would also need 5 out of 8 to notify Dave that you are offering or entering a new contract with him, a contract with an aggregate term of 3 to 5 years. If neither of those happen, we are back to June of 2022, when the contract expired. He was not non-renewed, he was not renewed. And by statute, in 1996, not to sound like Mr. Weber, but in 1996, when we got rid of, as a state, we got rid of superintendent tenure. Superintendents used to have lifelong tenure once they had done their 3 years. Instead, they can now have a contract of 3 to 5 years. But if that circumstance happens where you don't non-renew and don't renew, the superintendent rolls over, as Mr. Cittadino did in July 1st of 2022, into a new contract of the same duration. So it was another 5-year term at that point, with no changes. Don't step on my legal analysis. With no changes in the contract. So whatever the final salary is, it would stay the same. That's what happened. And then the next year, in summer of 2023, there were 5+ votes on the board to give him a new contract. So that is what could happen again if you don't get 5 on either side of that question. There is a middle ground. It is imposed by state law, and it would roll Dave over into what would now be a new 3-year contract, in which his current salary would remain the same. Does that answer your question, Jeff? Or Jen?
Okay, anyone Anyone from the board, any more comments?
I'd like to address some of the points you
Okay.
made. So the Cheesequake School, 2018, the board asked us for proposals, and that was just one of the proposals. That is the proposal that the board chose to adopt. We could have given you no proposals as an administration, and you wouldn't have been able to put together a budget for that school year, but several proposals were put together. Some were removal of programs, similar to we went through this year at the high school, and severe reduction of staff, and that was not the direction that the board wanted to go. So the board, you may have voted no, chose for the Cheesequake model, which brought in $5 million in revenue over the course of 10 years. It doesn't end this year. What year it is? I think it's at least 4 more years on that contract. 2, the Nike base, again, part of S2, brought in $10 million in revenue on a piece of property that was evaluated at $3.4 million. Again, that's $15 million in revenue that, if you're going to put all the blame on me, then put all the heroics on me too. I brought in $15 million in revenue to the district. I'm not even asking for a portion of that. So if I bring in $15 million in revenue, use your history books, go back and see if there's another superintendent who brought in $15 million in revenue to the district.
Just to clarify on that one, those funds, as we talked about in numerous budgets, and even Sal has brought up past legislation, we cannot use it to fund our general budget. Those can only be funded for construction-related projects. So even if you had $15 million from the sale, to be honest, it could have wiped out the deficit for 1 year, and then you would never have that money again. It's lost. So that money by statute can only stay in the capital reserve for funding construction projects. So
we can't use that for payroll then, right?
correct.
Oh, okay,
Correct.
but the original assumption is, I believe, in my opinion, that they were going to use this money for their toys,
Never.
whatever it may be.
No,
Okay?
because we reduced administration at the building, we reduced costs at that building, as well as then using the money for revenue in the rental that we could use elsewhere, that we still have to have as an operating budget. We've gone over that with how you need operational cash every year, and that money allows you to have operational cash when you're waiting for your state aid to come in, and you still have to make payroll in the month of July.
And you get interest.
Yes, and you get interest on it. So,
But yet you didn't cut any administration, supervision?
We did cut
No,
administration
you-
during that time. Yes, we
Go
did.
ahead, who? Tell me.
Mrs. Barrett. We had to move principals around, and one principal was cut in addition to counselor, secretary, nurse. We did cut.
the executive director of curriculum, the director of technology was also that year.
And you also,
Supervisor
and you
of
also
guidance. There were
created
five
other administrative positions.
5 administrative positions cut that year.
What about the creations? Let's talk about them.
So
Hold on.
What about what you just asked? We answered it.
Okay.
So we did cut administrative positions.
As we get
And you
into,
also
as-
created,
hold on.
go ahead.
As we get into the creation of positions, let's keep in mind that one person
Okay.
waived their rights
Okay, they
for
haven't been
tonight.
rights, I won't talk.
No names.
The wood shop position, we worked to get a qualified substitute for that position as best we could. We could not have, if we would have to have you in the position as a volunteer, I'm not even sure if that's a conflict or not, but we'd also have to hire a teacher to be in there with you, because you are a volunteer. If you worked as a certified teacher, you'd be conflicted. But it's because you're working as a volunteer, and due to our volunteer policy, I would still have to hire a teacher to be with you, and it was staffing we didn't have.
But the thing is, at least the kids would get an education instead of sitting there beating each other up and the teacher. I totally disagree with you, okay? I offered my services. I know that all I can do is go in there, use the machinery, show the kids, and I would have to have a sub in there. But at least the kids would be getting an education. You didn't go in that direction. Totally disagree with you. As far as I'm concerned, this administration put this district in such a financial burden. No superintendent, I've worked here for 50 years almost. I think 6 or 7 superintendents. None of them ever got into a situation like this where we sold all this land. My old partner, Ellen McDermott, we named the building after her. She says, Matt, don't sell anything. You have to hold on to it because they don't make any more. Okay?
So just
But
to clarify,
that-
I
you
apologize.
clarify
Just to
anything you-
clarify, thank you. So in 2017-18, the state of New Jersey provided Old Bridge with $44,779,742. For the 24-25 school year, we got $24,342 million. It's a $20,437,000 loss. Mr. Cedino did not do that.
Anyone else? No? Okay. I showed you my side. I would like to hire a new superintendent. I don't know what kind, because I haven't found that person yet. But once we interview him, I think the right person will be there. I'm looking for somebody with a financial, industrial background, with the qualifications to be a superintendent, okay?
But if
They don't
that
have
was-
to have a doctorate degree, because he never got his doctorate
But if that
degree, and he
your
was
goal-
supposed to.
If that was your goal, you should have started that in January, when you took over as president.
Look, we're not behind. The last
are behind.
No,
We're
we're
behind
not.
where
The
the
last
schedule.
superintendent search, we didn't go through the school boards. We did it on our own, okay? And it took 3 months. I think Mr. Pardon was there. We interviewed 8 or 9 people, I believe it was, or 10.
Mr. Silikowski, I think that was for a short-term interim position.
No, I
That
understand.
resulted in Dr. Brennan for a year.
Right, right.
That's an interim that would create more problems and more disruption than creating a long-term plan. Just like the strategic plan, like, you need to have a plan, not just, oh, well, we'll end up with somebody, we don't know if they're really gonna work for a year, but then, like, that'll give us time. That's not how we should be running the district.
I gave Mr. Cedadino the time. He has this year, and I offered him another year at $250, $250,000 plus 4%.
But we
He
didn't
said
do
no.
our-
He said no.
But the public elected us to do a job of give him an evaluation or plan for changes that are upcoming. We all knew Dave's contract was up in June. We didn't do the proper planning to get this ball rolling like we should have.
That's
So
why we're
now-
giving him another year, so we could do that.
But he has 2
But
years,
that's
this
convenient
year
for
and
us.
next year.
That's still
And
not
he's
enough.
rejecting the offer of a one-year contract.
So when the new board comes on, we'll have a vote and we'll see what happens. If he gets another 3 years, God bless him. If not, the door's there.
Public comments done, thank you.
That is
Anyone
a
else?
great way to respond to staff in the district after they've given more than 20 years is, you've got 2 years left, take a walk.
When a person lies to another person, I don't like that. He lied to me.
But we all have.
Look, no. Look, I'm a man of my word. Apparently he isn't.
You're saying you've never changed your mind on any opinion, any budget?
Very,
Never-
I always
never?
vote no on everything.
You can change your mind, that's why we're giving you a year at a time, and then in 2 years.
Oh, I've said,
see what happens.
but to say that I lied, and when I say it's your mind, it's a big difference.
I'm
closed my folder.
I'm withdrawing my support for a 1 year, so I won't support a 1-year contract.
All right.
I just have, last thing to say is, wait, what was the point I just made? I said it out loud, and I forgot.
About the evaluation this year.
Oh, yeah, okay, so extending the contract 1 more year after this school year gives you 2 years of evaluations. Hold on. Then, it's just funny to me that the last meeting in executive session, we were all on board for this, and now we get on the stage, the cameras are on, and then the divisive starts again, and this is just what happens every single meeting.
No,
And
I
it's-
said I wanted more time to.
And then you
converse with
agree with it, and that's why Mr. Parton brought it to Mr. Citadino, was because we all
Because
agreed
everyone
as a
else was
board.
going for the 1 year, and after thinking about it.
Christina, right, but Christina, also, we agreed to offer it, but when he turned it down and now, gives us another another reason.
So you changed your mind just like he does?
No, we get a chance to renegotiate. If he says
Right.
no.
Yes, because we're on here and the cameras are here and you have
Christina,
your.
that's
No, but he
not
said
why.
no.
People who
Christina.
and ahhing.
We
Because
offered
if they
him-
weren't oohing and
We
ahhing,
offered
you
him a
guys
year
would've
and he
changed
said
your
no.
mind. Because
Keep
this
it-
is what happens every
but
single meeting.
Christina,
No,
the-
Christina,
It's
that's
not
not
every
why.
single meeting.
The fact is, right now, you authorized me to make an offer to the superintendent. He tonight said no to that offer. He said when I conveyed it to him, he said he was thinking about it. Now that's not a live issue. So the question isn't what happened, the question is what do you want to do next?
And also, the 1 year is not an option anymore. We offered him a year, he said no. It's not that we're changing our decision. He made a decision not to accept a year. So we got to accept either June or 2 years, or that's it. There's only two options.
Right. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to close this, and we're going to go into executive session. We have somebody from the New Jersey School Boards over here, and we're going to go over the evaluation.
I thought so.
No?
Yeah.
Oh, public?
Right.
Okay, I didn't know that, okay. I'm here
So
so
we could have
long,
put
and I
you
didn't know
before
that.
all this, and we wouldn't have made you stay all late. I apologize. I
Mrs.
don't think we
Weinkauf,
knew that.
just to put you completely on the spot, are you prepared to lead the discussion of the superintendent evaluation tonight, or just do logistical discussions of that?
Right.
Okay.
Ms. Friedman?
So if that's going to be, I'm sorry, yeah. If that's going to be a brief part of this, then we will continue that in public as well. If it gets into personnel discussions of your performance as part of the evaluation, do you want that to continue in public as well, Mr. Cittadino?
Ms. Freeman,
I'm sorry.
do you want to put her up there so she has a microphone so people
Yes,
hear?
you might as well.
All right.
Would you explain the process to us? Because
So you're saying you don't have the ability to do my evaluation tonight, correct?
Okay, sorry, not used to microphones. So the superintendent's evaluation has been completed and has been compiled and has been delivered to the person that Mr. Sulikowski asked me to deliver it to, along with instructions on how to complete the rest of the process. I have no idea where that stands at this point, but what I will tell you is once the compilation has been provided to a board member or to the board should meet in executive session having Rice, the superintendent, to review that compilation as long, all non-conflicted members, so anybody who's conflicted is not able to be there. They discuss that compilation and they identify what the majority opinion of the board is. That gets typed up into a formal final evaluation document because it's just the majority opinion of the board. Then the board needs to have another executive session having Rice, the superintendent, where the board, all non-conflicted members meet with the superintendent to give them the final document, which is just the majority opinion of the board. It's the superintendent's opportunity to address the board, non-conflicted members only, and the non-conflicted members of the board to address the superintendent. And that's when that conversation about the superintendent's evaluation happens with the superintendent. There's 2 steps that need to be taken once the compilation has been provided. So I don't know if either of those steps have been taken.
Yes, that was me, and I emailed all of you the compiled email from NJSBA. Yes.
Marion, just your
Oh,
opinion.
I'm sorry.
Are we behind schedule according to,
By statute and by
Statute.
code, the superintendent's evaluation must be completed by July 1st of each year.
so Matt, you said we weren't behind schedule. You made a public statement that we're on pace.
I'm talking about the
That's
contract,
what I
his
asked you for.
contract.
No. Earlier I said,
Oh.
are we on
I
schedule for the
I
evaluation?
misunderstood you probably. Go ahead.
Misunderstood, okay. So by April, you said?
By July
July.
1st. So the process usually starts around March and then goes through because the superintendent enters their information first. The board can't do anything until that's entered. Superintendent does their part. Then the board members, as soon as that's submitted, will get an email within 48 hours letting them know, anybody who's not conflicted, that they can go in and do their part of the evaluation. So that part has all been done, and that's what has been compiled, and Mr. Sulikowski asked me to send it to one of the board members, which I did.
And also, to the best of your knowledge, last year, you were involved in the evaluation as well.
So unfortunately, I was your field service rep from 2017 to 2022.
Okay.
And then I was moved out
So
of,
not last year,
of
okay.
Middlesex, so I wasn't in 2022, and I wasn't in I was here for 2022, but I don't believe that the evaluation was ever completed.
Correct.
And that was a whole other issue.
So 22 and 24 were behind.
And I don't know if it was done in 23 or not, because I wasn't your field service rep,
Thank
so
you.
I apologize.
So you said that we go over the compilation and then we submit a majority opinion?
You identify what the majority opinion of the board is from that compiled document.
Okay.
And then that gets typed into a summary document that I have supplied.
Right.
And that gets typed in, and then at the next executive session, these are 2 executive sessions having Rice the superintendent. Okay?
So the compilation is the compilation, and then the majority opinion is based off of that. So at that point, you can't add or delete anything that you want to be considered?
So you can consider things, certainly, and if somebody hadn't participated in the evaluation who was able to, because they don't have a family member or relative working in the district, they just chose not to, their input would be able to be taken to put that summary document together. Think of the compilation as the raw data, and then you're creating a summary document which just represents the majority opinion of the board.
Okay, at this point, does anybody who, we already can see who completed the evaluations and when at this point? So did
I
they-
have that information, Marge.
No, I know, I'm just saying, so do they go back and then change their evaluation, or?
Does who go back?
I don't know, a board member.
No,
That's already-
once it's compiled, so
Okay, so
what
you
I did
submit-
was
you
I
give us that,
provided,
okay.
I provided reports, tracking reports to Mr. Sulikowski.
Okay.
He then said, when it gets to this point, I want it to go to this particular
Okay.
person. And I had him send me an email to that effect
Right.
also, because I need to know that.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
need to have that in writing, because I'm not sending it to the board president any longer, I'm sending it to somebody else.
I just wanted to get an idea of what those meetings are going to consist of, so thank you.
So the meeting would consist of you all receiving the evaluation, the data, the raw data, that compilation, and then identifying in that executive session what the majority opinion of the board is. And then somebody types that up. It's usually the board president, but it can be designated to somebody else. But it needs to be a board member that does that.
Okay, thank you for explaining it.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I guess we're going to have to call another executive session.
Sorry, she's here to do the board self-eval.
Yes.
Right.
Well, 2 executive sessions. You have to go
Right,
over the
two.
compilation.
They have to review the compilation, yes.
Exactly, and then deliver it to the superintendent on the second one.
Right. And I generally recommend that you deliver that summary document to the superintendent 48 hours before your second executive session, so that they have the opportunity to review it. It's never 2 pages long. It's usually multiple pages. And you want them to be able to digest it and to process it, so that they're not sitting there reading it when you have that executive session.
So he has to do his homework, I understand. Okay.
Who has to do his homework?
Mr. Citadino, he has to read basically what...
He would read
Right.
the summary document,
Right,
yes.
right.
Mhm.
So we give him 2 days to do it?
Yes.
Okay.
So can you start the board self-eval, so we don't make you stay longer?
Sure you want to do this now?
Yes.
We're here.
Okay, so the board self-evaluation is not mandated. Excuse me, this is not a cold, not COVID. I have vocal cord issues from last year. I went to workshop having laryngitis, and I did what they tell you not to do when you have laryngitis, and I talked. So all workshop last year. So I now have vocal cord issues. So the board self-evaluation, while the superintendent's evaluation is mandatory, and it is due by July 1st, the board self-evaluation is not mandatory, and it does not have a deadline date. So there were 7 board members who completed the board self-evaluation, and you have it in front of you on the left-hand side of your packet. And anything that's considered a 3.0 or above in the averages is considered a board that's working well together. Okay? So on the first thing that we ask you to do, it's the quantification of relative value. So we ask you to value the 9 different areas that we ask you to assess yourselves in. Those are planning, policy, student achievement, finance, board operations, board performance, board superintendent relationships, board staff relationships, and board and community. The things that you ranked the highest were board staff relationships and board and community. And the next 4 areas that you ranked just below that were policy, student achievement, finance, and board superintendent relationships. So when we get to the charts, which will be in a few minutes, we're going to look at that value as what you feel your ability is. So I look at the value kind of like special ed, what is your ability, and then what's your performance. So your board ratings on each of these 9 areas that you'll see going through are going to give you what you feel your performance is, and then we'll look at that in comparison to the value that you shed on those, that you rated those particular areas on, okay? So the first thing that we talk about is planning, and this was an area of relative strength for the board. The one thing that was a little bit lower was regularly monitoring progress towards the district goals, and that's something that can be done on a regular basis. Generally, the board will set their district and their board goals over the summer months, and then I always recommend November as the first time for an opportunity to get progress reports, and that's where you've asked the superintendent to provide you with information on how things are going towards the achievement of the district goals. And you've already had a couple of months then to take a look at what progress has been made. January is the next best time to do this because you may have new board members who may or may not know that you have set district goals, and to see what kind of progress has been made there, knowing that you're 6 months in to those district goals. Then March, because March is when you're going to have to sit down to start doing your superintendent's evaluation, and the superintendent needs you to know exactly where he is with the district goals, and you need to know that in order to make an informed evaluation of the superintendent. Okay, makes sense so far? Okay, then June, you want to have an end of the year wrap up, and is there anything that we weren't able to accomplish that we need to move forward into the upcoming year? Or is there anything that worked so well and we did so well with, we'd like to prolong some of those things and work on accelerating those? So those are the 4 different times that we recommend having updates on progress towards district goals. I also always recommend that the board talk about the progress towards the board goals at that point as well. Board goals are usually on process and procedure and your governance structure, and that allows you to take a look at what you're doing as a governance structure, how you're performing, and what you want to improve upon. And this is actually going to give you a very nice table setting for what things you might want to improve upon, okay, for board goals. And then I always suggest that the board president or somebody on the board report out on the progress November, January, March, and June. Okay? So the next thing was policy, and this is an area of relative strength, developing broad policies that give the administration sufficient authority and latitude to manage the day-to-day operations. Also reviewing and updating your policy manual regularly as required by CUSAC, and also ensuring the administration develops appropriate procedures and regulations. Those were your 3 areas of strength in policy. In terms of student achievement was also an area of strength. mostly in using the expertise of your professional staff in developing the curriculum and ensuring that it's focused on student achievement, monitoring the effectiveness of your instructional program, and setting high standards for all students, which we know are very important in terms of getting that student achievement up. When we have high expectations for all students, for ourselves, for our staff, for the board, for administration, people rise to that occasion, and that's very powerful. In terms of finance, this was an area of relative strength also, exercising financial oversight of all aspects of district operations in accordance with statute, and reviewing and understanding and evaluating the financial reports to ensure that the educational dollars are used in an efficient and effective manner. The one area that was an area that is a little bit of a challenge is balancing the educational needs of students with the impact of budgetary increases. So again, anything that's a 3.0 or above is an area where the board is working well together. Board operations, this was an area that provides some challenges for you. The areas of strength were holding your meetings in compliance with applicable statutes, policies, and bylaws, and providing time, funding, and opportunity for orienting and updating our members. Also, you stated that the ratings were that your method of board governance has clearly defined bylaws, but there were some challenges in terms of providing a climate that allows free, orderly, and open discussion by all board members at the meetings, developing and utilizing skills in teamwork, consensus building, and collaborative problem solving, using good decision-making processes only after appropriate information has been received and studied, and respecting the administrator's leadership by thoughtfully deliberating on recommendations. Also, from this, I wasn't really sure whether you worked as a board of the whole or on committees. After tonight, I see you work with committees. But there was thought that the method of board governance may not be contributing to the overall effectiveness of the board and efficiency of the board, and that the board's governance doesn't necessarily lessen the overall impact of the total work of the board members, and that the method of governance is not necessarily ensuring appropriate communication to the board. So those were a couple of areas of challenge. And again, those areas of challenge are areas that you may want to consider when you're thinking about developing board goals. So have you developed board goals yet for this year? Okay. So that's something that I would be happy to come in and facilitate with you guys so that we could use this information in developing board goals that will help you to become more effective, and hopefully next year's evaluation will be even better than this year's evaluation. Okay? Board performance, this was an area that was a challenge also. Recognizing that the area of strength was recognizing that authority rests with the board as a whole, sitting in a legally advertised meeting with a quorum of the board. The areas that were challenges were working together in an atmosphere of mutual trust and respect, ensuring that all members have input into decision making, avoiding even the appearance of impropriety or conflict of interest, and operating in accordance with the board members' code of ethics. Okay, so those were some of the areas that we may want to take a look at in terms of board goals. And again, board goals have to do with process, policy, procedures, and governance. The board superintendent relationship was an area of relative strength. The one area that's a little bit of a challenge is respecting the management responsibilities and administrative prerogatives of the superintendent. The areas that were strengths were keeping the superintendent informed about community and school issues and aspirations, conducting that fair, comprehensive annual evaluation of the superintendent, which is a little surprising because that hasn't happened yet. So, but it's in process. And then regularly requiring regular dialogue on progress towards district goals. So that's something that when you develop your district goals also, have you developed district goals for the upcoming year? Okay. So I'm going to suggest that we have me back in and that we do a goal setting session. We take care of district goals and board goals. I will always ask the superintendent to come in with proposed goal areas because that is the person that you've hired to make those decisions and your educational leader. and he knows what needs to be focused on most in the upcoming year. We're a little bit late in doing those things, but it's still important to do them because they'll be critical in terms of next year's superintendent's evaluation. Because whether you use our evaluation tool or not, and we are not the only game in town, certainly, but whatever evaluation tool you use for the superintendent, it must by statute have a district goals component to it and progress towards those district goals in that evaluation. Okay, so that's the important part. And then what we'll do is when we develop the district goals and the board goals, we'll talk about how often you want to have updates on the progress towards those district and board goals. So that will be cemented at that point as well. And everybody will be on the same page. You'll all know what the district goals are. You'll know how you're progressing towards those. You'll all know what the board goals are, and you'll understand how you're progressing towards those as well. Board staff relationships, this was an area of strength, recognizing the importance of staff development and providing the necessary funds and time for that, providing for public recognition of staff achievements, and also treating district staff with courtesy and respect. Those were all areas of strength. Next was board and community. Again, this is an area of relative strength, encouraging community involvement in the district and having an effective community relations program. And I know I was part of facilitating your strategic plan back in 2022, so I know that that's in place. I'm glad you have an upcoming meeting, Mr. Slade said, on November 13th, was it? See, I was listening. November 13th, to be able to talk about the strategic planning goals and moving forward with those as well. So that's very positive. The last two things that we ask are identifying the challenges that are facing your district. What are three major challenges that are currently facing the district? And the three things that popped out to me were funding and budget. We know that you're an S2 district and you've taken some really severe financial hits from state aid. And unfortunately, that's nothing that we can do anything about, but we have to deal with it. And so that's going to be an issue moving forward as well. And then student learning and achievement was also a high priority and a challenge given those reduced funds. And then the thing that several people talked about was differing views on what's best for students. And that struck me because it wasn't just one person who said that, it was multiple people who said that. And so what you may want to try and do also at some point in time in the near future is really think about what your vision should be, develop a collaborative vision between the board and the superintendent for where you want this district to be. And that's where you want to go, and then your mission is how you get there. You do have a powerful mission statement, and I think it's important that you take a look at that and then take a look at whatever the vision statement is that you would like to identify with all of you collaboratively, and make sure that those things are jiving together, okay? That mission statement is going to help to take you where the vision is that you've all decided on. Then we ask you, as a policy-making body, what are some areas of additional focus and training that the board would like to receive training on? There was several statements about, continuing with board training, continuing with governance training, roles and responsibilities, and things like that. So those are all things that we can talk about as well. Any questions on the actual data part of the evaluation? Okay, so then you have your charts. So the first chart takes a look at the value and the board's rating. And again, I make this akin to what you feel your ability is as the value and what you feel the performance of the board is. So the first 5 areas from planning to board operations are your task areas. And those are areas that the board is generally very uniquely involved in and intimately involved with because they're task areas that the board is very responsible for. Those last 4 areas from board performance to board and community, those are your relationship areas. So in terms of value to board, value being what you consider your ability and board being what your performance is, those things are pretty close together. If there were some really large gaps, there would be some concerns, but they're pretty close together. So I think that's pretty good. Then the second page talks about the board to individual. And on this, in all 9 areas, board members rated themselves as individuals higher than you rated yourselves as a board. Typically, the board will rate itself higher in those task areas. So in planning through board operations, typically the boards feel that they do better together when they're seated in a legally advertised meeting of the board and they're conducting the business of the board. But then in the relationship areas, board members usually feel as individuals they do better because it's relationships, and that's usually an individual thing. So in this particular case, in all 9 areas, board members felt as individuals they did better as individuals than you do as a board together. Okay, and then the last chart talks about the current year versus the prior year. So the gray column going up is last year, the green column is this year, and in 2 areas you rated yourself as improved over last year, and that was in board superintendent relationships and board and community. The rest were slightly lower than last year.
That's based off of the surveys that we filled out last year,
Last
but
year.
we didn't do this part of it. Okay.
Right, okay. So you did the board self-evaluation last year. You definitely did that. And I don't know, because again, I wasn't your field service rep last year, so I can't speak to that. I don't know whether Patty came in and talked to you all about the findings like we're doing tonight, or whether it was just delivered to the board, or
I've
did
never
you not
seen-
ever see it?
We never saw it.
Okay, okay. So this is part of the reason why we always offer to come in, and I don't know that that was done last year, so I can't speak to that. But we offer to come in to review the findings because it does make a difference in terms of things that you're thinking about, considering for board goals, areas that you want to improve upon, and identifying areas of relative strength. Any other questions?
So the right side is all just like planning and stuff for next year?
The right side is just really taking a look at those things when you're, so what I would ask you to do, if you're going to have me in, or regardless, if you're going to develop, you need to develop district goals, absolutely, okay? It's not too late to do that, and it's critical for next year's superintendent's evaluation by statute and code. But if you want to develop board goals also, then take a look at that green sheet, which talks about processing the board self-evaluation. So really take a look at this and look at the comments and identify what was really interesting about it, what was unexpected about it, what areas you feel as a board you could be doing better in, and then we can talk about those areas for board goals and what areas you feel you excelled in. Okay, and then on the left-hand side, there's the board evaluation process calendar, which really spells out for you what the time frame is. It gives you what the recommendation is for the timelines in terms of what's required by the state and when it's required to be done. And if you follow that, so after reorganization, if whoever the president is sits down with the superintendent and comes up with a plan with the vice president perhaps too, on what these dates will look like, you will never have to worry about going beyond the July 1st date again, because this maps it all out for you. All you have to do is put in your dates, okay? And then most of the time, boards who do this will send me those dates, and then I can track on that progress also and make sure that you're staying true to your calendar. Okay? Okay.
Thank you.
If you have any other questions, please feel free to give me a call. Okay, you have my contact information in there. I appreciate your time tonight, and I wish you the best, and I hope to hear from you soon.
I appreciate you coming. Okay,
Thank you
now,
so much.
we
Thank
have
you.
2 dates, November 14th or the 19th, for the superintendent's evaluation. That's when we have our agenda meeting and the regular meeting. I guess we can do it before the meeting or after. It's
You
up
could
to
do it in executive session after. You just have to make sure that you write Mr. Citadino for
Oh, I
both of those
understand that.
sessions.
That's up to the, okay.
Okay?
So
And
what
then-
what date is good for you?
I don't come in for those.
Oh, you don't?
I'm not here for that. I can't be a part of the conversation of the superintendent's evaluation because the superintendent doesn't report to me. Okay?
Okay.
He reports to you. So all I can do is guide you through that process. And as I said, I know that Christine, I had provided you with a bunch of documents. If you could share those with the board also. Okay, so you want to take a look at that next steps document, which really outlines, it gives you bulleted points that you need to follow, and hopefully, get that done as soon as possible, okay, so that's done, and now you'll be working on next year's evaluation.
Okay, for the board and district goals, what date is good for you, the 14th or the 19th of November?
I will have to take a look at my calendar.
Okay, and
so-
get back to either me or Christina.
Okay, 14th or the 19th?
19th.
Okay, I
So
will
you
take
want
a
to
look at
do
that.
Dave's superintendent thing and district goals all on the same night and the
Well, she
meeting?
doesn't have to be here for the superintendent's evaluation.
I know, but how long is a goal, like, that's not a 5-minute meeting.
No, goal setting is usually about an hour to an hour and a half.
Can I ask the question, do we have to do it after a meeting? Can we
Can we do
do
it
like
another
a,
night?
like a, yeah, like on the brands of night?
You can do it on a different night. You can do it as a special meeting, absolutely.
Okay.
We'd have to,
So we'll have to-
we'd have to
I mean, unless
advertise
you
it.
guys want to get a bunch of sleeping bags and sleep here. You could do that too.
So, Christina, if you're going to be responsible for the dates, you and I'll talk, okay, and
You
come up
got
with a date,
You got it.
okay? All right, thank you, everybody.
I want to
Good-
thank you for your time. And
You're
thank you
very
for
welcome.
coming,
Good
okay?
night.
Thank you.
That's good. Mr. Solikowski, we do have a brief executive session for personnel issues with people who have not waived their privacy rights.
Ms. Owen motions to end the meeting.
Motion.
Francisco will second.
Motion to go in exec.
Francisco
Francisco.
motions and second.
All right, we're in executive.
We are now
Okay.
going to go into executive
I
session.
would like, I thank everyone for coming and their input, and good night, okay?
Ciao for now.